What is up, geeks and geekettes? It's another episode of the Countdowns to the Geekcast.
Finally.
My name is Steady. With me on this episode is the man, the myth, the legend, you know him as JC.
Hey, everybody. We're finally here. Finally. How's it going, everyone?
We also got the man behind the magic. It's the one and only Joe Garcia.
Yeah, I'm just throwing out just like all of San Antonio right now. I got my studio
all of Texas.
Yeah,
Texas.
I got my studio at a nice balmy 50 degrees right now. So should be wearing shorts, but I'm still freezing my butt off.
Hey, and we also have a returning guest. He might as well be on the show. It's the one and only from the guy who's from the WrestleCast. It's Mike. What's going on, Mike?
What's up? I'm Mike, and this is a crossover episode.
I thought he was going to say, I'm Mike, and this is
Still
2020.
looking for a catchphrase, right? You know?
Yeah, no, it's a new catchphrase every year for this year's. Every day, every time this year. So.
First off, it's good. All you guys made it back safely from Cancun. I'm glad to see that. You got away from the freeze and everything. So
Look, I don't even have daughters to drop off, but it was still their fault.
Right.
Okay.
They should have kept him
I
over
had
there,
to say
dude.
it once. I had to say it once.
Somebody should have kept him over there, slipped some drug paraphernalia
All
inside
right,
his
well,
suitcase.
Joe,
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Okay, so let's do this, okay? Because I know there's a lot to say, and there's also other things that we want to kind of mention really quickly. First thing I want everybody to do, if you're watching this stream right now, I want you to like the video. I also want you to share it. We got a lot of great things to talk about today. We're going to be talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League trailer. It dropped, feels like a week ago, but we haven't been able to do a show.
It feels like a month ago, Ted.
And just this morning, we got a trailer for Mortal Kombat, the long-awaited trailer for Mortal Kombat. We're going to be talking about that as well. I want to hear
Kids, get your parents' permission. It's a Red Band trailer. Yeah.
I want to hear from everybody about Zack Snyder's trailer, and I want to hear from everybody on Mortal Kombat trailer. And then lastly, we're going to be talking about WandaVision episode 6, which came out like a month ago, but we haven't been able to record. real quick before we get
Isn't
to
the new
that,
one coming out in like 5 minutes?
Yeah, the new episode.
Pretty much. Before we even get to that, we'll go ahead and talk about what a crazy week it's been for everybody, not just on the show, but all of our friends, all of our family, all of our coworkers, and the entire state of Texas. I'll just quickly say that I don't think this week has been really easy for anyone. We were all going through, for many of us, for the first time, a major snowstorm or winter storm is what they're calling it. And if we had a lot of the bare essentials and just the regular utilities that we're normally used to, I think it would have been a much easier time. But unfortunately, our infrastructure is not built for this kind of thing. So that's a whole nother discussion that we're not going to get into. But because things failed and because we started losing power, water, cellular service in many parts of not only our city but the state, it really was challenging for a lot of people. I know that this is probably something we'll talk about and laugh about, one day.
Never.
In the very in the future we will.
I'll keep reminding you, Joe, to make sure you laugh about it one day. Yeah.
But for right now, it's a very dire situation for a lot of people who don't have the availability to travel, to find resources, who might be alone in their homes or not have any help or support structure around them. So keep those people in your thoughts. I'll say that the first night we were in our house with no power, we had food, but we wanted hot food. So I went on a search and was able to find a restaurant that was open a few miles away. Not many places had lights on. I found a restaurant and got hot food, and it was in line next to a firefighter who really opened my eyes and said, the calls that they're getting are from people who are unfortunately finding their neighbors have passed due to hypothermia, who are having very serious issues health wise. And so it's for our paramedics, for law enforcement, for fire departments. This has been a completely different challenge in itself. He had already lost 2 fire engines, and they were down to like the last 2 for that one specific station. One had flipped over. I think we all probably saw that on the news. A fire truck that weighs a few tons flipped over due to the conditions on the road, and they had lost a second fire truck after a car had slid on the ice and rammed it and rendered it useless. So for everybody, this has been an incredibly challenging week. I know a lot of us on the show right now, we're keeping in close contact because we worried about one another. We wanted to help each other out as much as we could. So I'm glad you gentlemen are all okay. I'm glad you gentlemen are all safe and your families are safe. I was worried about everyone on the show. I'm always worried about Jericho. I was worried about Rob, wherever he's at. So I'm very thankful that everybody's okay. I hope the worst is past all of us, and I hope that we can get back to normal pretty soon.
Yep. Hopefully.
Yeah. I'll say I'm glad you guys are okay. You guys, I was worried about you. We here were one of the lucky ones that didn't lose anything, thankfully.
Yeah.
And I've been very fortunate. And I was ready to take you guys in one way or another if we needed to. And
I attest to that. He was.
yeah, if Mike has said if he didn't have power by tomorrow, he's coming over bringing breakfast and we're watching WandaVision. And I was, in a way, kind of hoping for that because I miss hanging out with you. But you know,
Mike's like unplugging everything. Oh no, we
yeah,
gotta
we gotta go. Yeah,
I go outside.
yeah. But
somebody took an axe to our power lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, just having the kids getting in basically a winter break week, you know, getting to experience snow, getting to see their smiling faces, getting to play in snow. I was probably about a couple months from turning 4 when the snowstorm of '85 hit. So that's one of my earliest memories. I remember sliding down cardboard on a hill by our apartment that we were living in, and my dad's black Volkswagen Beetle covered in white snow. But getting to see the kids happy playing with it, both Monday and this morning, it's been it's one of the things I'll always remember about it. One of the happier things. I try to focus on what's positive about it. The other positive I'll focus on is the fact that this state, the people in this state, reached out to each other, helped each other. If you're one of the few people with a 4x4 truck with snow tires, you're helping people get out of their homes that didn't have power. We have a couple of nieces in Austin that got assistance with that, and Austin's got it pretty bad. People were getting food out of their homes to people that could, you know, making runs to HEB for everybody, picking up food wherever that was open. So I'm very proud of this state. I'm very proud of this town, especially when I'm not going to get political, but when the government didn't step in as much as it maybe should have, people stepped up for each other, and I'm very proud of that. So
Here.
thankful for that. So I'm very thankful for that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thankful for just, you know, us being able to, as Texans, be able to pull through all this together. Everybody relied on each other. And, you know, there were resources if we needed them, you know, especially each other. And we needed to go ahead and depend on each other, or even, you know, our city to kind of stand up. They had some warming centers open. You know, I was even behind the scenes checking on, you know, seeing if there was any welfare checks that some of my friends needed me to take to go out there and check on their moms and dads who are kind of elderly, because some of my friends don't even live here, you know. So thank God that they were able to get cell service. Their parents were on their phones, so they were able to contact them and find out that they were doing okay. So we were kind of all worried about that. You know, as people get older, you know, you worry more and more about them because they're more susceptible to the cold. So that's one of the things I was really thinking about when we're losing power, you know.
Yeah.
And just like you said, man, the first responders, the people at restaurants, like we were talking about, you know, going to venture out to find food, and you know, on certain days, those lines were hour plus long at least, just trying to get food. And you know, there's a picture going national of Domino's pizza workers that you know, their store was stocked for the weekend, and the food was gone in 4 hours, and they were just exhausted. Yeah, everyone, and like Hill said too, like neighbors, like We were in our neighborhood Facebook page, and people were offering stuff and looking for stuff and trading and
Fixing pipes and everything.
Supporting people, fixing pipes, offering suggestions, helpful things. Reminding people not to use generators or things inside that could cause carbon monoxide poisoning. So I believe it's attributed to Mr. Rogers, but like you said, when disaster hits, always look for the helpers.
Yeah.
And as bad as things got with certain things, there was a lot of helping and a lot of camaraderie going on. So that was really good to see.
Yeah.
Amen.
I think the biggest takeaway, if you look at this picture of the four of us, is that we all need to chip in and get Joe a space heater for his studio because it's in the middle of his garage. It's freezing to death over there.
Yeah, well, the studio / garage is coming along really well. The only thing that I need is insulation on the front of the garage door. If I get the proper insulation there, then it'll retain heat a lot better. Because
Joe's like, that wasn't on my list, but it is now.
It is now. Well, it was on my list. I just
dying in the summer, man.
Yeah, no, it was on my list. I just hadn't gotten around to it because I've been building all these other things. But it's one of the last things that I need to do to complete the studio. But man, I'll tell you what, that metal door, that thin metal door, it don't do nothing for the cold or the heat. It goes straight through it, right through it.
No.
Well, again, just thankful for everybody all of our family, all of our friends, that everyone we know is pretty much okay. If you're watching right now and you're in the state and you're doing okay now, I'm very happy that you're okay. I think we either met a lot of people going through the same kind of thing, or we got help from a lot of people. I was offering people money in lines for food because a lot of places they couldn't use cards. They're like, money only, and I'm like, all right, who needs a couple of dollars for something? So, oh man, it's been a crazy week. It's nuts, gnarly.
Yeah, I offered Ted to come over. I would have offered you to come over and so you could sign into work. But then again, I think you're enjoying the time off, so it's all good. The roads are bad enough, man. I'm just glad everybody's okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So
crazy, right?
All right,
that
let's
this week has been.
Let's talk geek shit, man. Let's go for it.
All right. Once again, if you're watching this video, please go ahead and hit the like button, and then also do us a favor and share. Share to your friends. Who are your geeky friends? Who are your nerdy friends? They want to hear this. We all need to get our minds off the insanity that was this week. All right. So go ahead, hit that share button, and let's talk some stuff. And the first thing we're going to talk about today is all about Mortal Kombat. Gentlemen, JC, I'll probably ask you because you've been on the show the longest. How long have I been talking about this movie?
Quite a while.
And
I've me, my thing with video game adapted movies, especially fighting games, it's not a good experience.
I believe you.
Not a fan of Street Fighter?
Sonic the Hedgehog. They can't all be Sonic the Hedgehog. Let's be honest here.
You're not a fan of the Street Fighter movie?
But that's not a fighting game.
Well, okay. I'm a fan of parts of the Street Fighter movie. I'm a fan of parts of The Legend of Chun-Li.
Yeah.
I wonder which parts.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Let's just say
it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
I've been talking about this movie for a while, ever since the announcement, ever since the director was announced, ever since the writer was announced, ever since the cast was announced. I've been talking this movie up, and I expected this trailer to come out a long time ago, but for whatever reason, they waited till 2 months before the release. Go figure, right?
Pandemic. Yeah.
So we finally got it, and I'm just going to start out by saying it's as epic and it's as impressive as I expected it to be. Everybody from the director to the writer to the producers have taken this project just as seriously as any other movie project in the last 5-10 years. What I mean by that is every single detail, every single set piece, every single fighting style was thought out thoroughly. Everything has a purpose. Everything needs to make sense. And when they announced the cast, when you get a guy like Sonata to join the cast, who is a legend in martial arts films, by the way, that just elevates the entire project to a whole new level. It's just on a whole new level right now. and seeing this trailer just solidifies everything I've been expecting, everything I thought about it. We have a bunch of people on our Facebook page that have been talking about it. Daniel Villanueva says the movie looks awesome. Martin Richard Finley says this is everything I had hoped for and more. I love the slow down nod to the first movie's theme song too, and it's so good. Let's see here. Richard Redding, top fan Richard Redding says that'll do. He's a man of few words. I love it.
Man after my own heart.
And just to be clear, that's not Sonata from New Japan, right? That's,
No, no. Look,
no, it's unfortunately not.
The first thing that gave me hope in this trailer is that it was Red Band.
Well, there was two
movies
versions.
were PG-13.
Yeah.
That's not Mortal Kombat. I'm sorry, it's just
No.
not.
No.
Of course, it was
And-
also the 90s. So
I know it
mean,
was the 90s, but
For what it was, those original ones, I mean, or the first one,
Yeah, I mean,
wasn't bad. Like,
Those were the Super
my-
Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat with the white blood.
well, unless you had a Game Genie, you can change the color.
True that.
But
Hey.
yeah, right. That's how you get around the rating, Mom. But then Mortal Kombat 2 kind of changed that. But then it was this. I was afraid of this movie coming out and being a PG-13 thing, and then they put Red Band, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I watched it with Tina, and
Yeah.
she's probably a bigger Mortal Kombat fan than I am,
Ooh.
and she loved it. Yeah, so it's got me intrigued. I'm glad it's HBO Max. It means I don't have to pay money for it. Legally, and I'm intrigued by how they're doing the characters, how they're being very faithful to a lot of the character, and I know a lot of complaints about where's Johnny Cage, and I'm like, I think they're keeping Cage a secret, for now. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Or maybe
Let's-
he's not going to be in the movie at all. Who knows?
Hang on.
Yeah.
Let's real quick. No spoilers, but I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that everybody who's seen the trailer just has a clear understanding of what this movie is about.
Mhm.
Number one, I think there's two major storylines that they're going to be telling. Number one, the first one is about Cole Young. He's not a character from the video games, as you might have guessed, but he is an outsider that's learning about the tournament. And let's call him. He's the audience's introduction to this universe, basically. As Cole is going to be going through this story in this movie, learning about the tournament and the characters and the villains and everything else, we're going to be learning through him. So he is the catalyst that is going to help us understand how this is similar to the video games and also how it differs from the video games.
Mhm.
And secondly, I think this trailer kind of gave another big piece away. This is all about the birth of Scorpion, and I'm all in on that, by the way. So as I mentioned, Hiroyuki Sanada, who's playing Scorpion, Hanzo Hasashi, this is the role he was born for, man. I think this is just one of those perfect things. This is Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. This is who else? This is Chris Evans as Captain America. This is just one
This
of
is
those.
Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
There you go.
Yeah.
All
There
of
you go.
those things.
Mhm.
It's just one of those perfect things. If you don't see a character that's already been announced, don't be upset. There's going to be a handful of reveals throughout this movie. A couple of them were actually shown in the trailer. We didn't know Goro was going to be in it firsthand or beforehand, and we saw him beautifully in the trailer. So let's go around, gentlemen. I want to hear your favorite parts of the trailer and maybe your expectations for this movie. Joe, I'm going to start with you because I don't have a reading on you yet. So, Joe, give us what you got.
I like the trailer, from what I saw, and then I did notice that one of the actor who's playing Jax, he was one of the guys who they showed early on in the trailer as one of those military guys going in against to apprehend Sub-Zero, and he grabs both his hands or arms and then winds up just busting them off, like.
I noticed that the second time. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, that's I can dig that. I like the way they're going to incorporate that into the story. Cole's a new character, so I'm like, okay, I can see how he's going to be the people's champ. He's going to be like you said, the introduction to the new generation of Mortal Kombat. And I like the cinematography, I like the storylines and everything that they're trying to set up for this new movie. But I say pump the brakes, bro, because we've been here before. I've seen movies that have really good trailers. So my thing is, I want to see the actual movie first and see the quality of work before I can give you a good assessment based on a trailer. I've seen tons of great trailers. It doesn't mean that the movie's actually going to deliver. So on my end, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. You know, while
Ted,
it looks good,
Why are you surprised by this? I'm not.
I'm just being honest, dude.
I know. I kind of agree with him on that, though.
I've been going all in on this movie since its inception, and I've been talking about it on this show.
It doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Every time. It absolutely means it's going to be good. Nobody puts as much work into a project.
No, it's because you want it to be good. You want it to be good.
Nobody tells their fight choreographer they want this to be the most impressive martial arts film ever, and will not at least break top 10 of all time. So
that you have a lot of hype behind it. I'm just saying, pump the brakes and let's see what happens when the actual movie comes out. That's all I'm saying.
For those watching, that's going to be a theme of this episode because we've gotten some of Joe's thoughts on the current episode of WandaVision, and I already know he's going to be on the Player Haters Club basically today. So we'll get into that. You know,
I'm just saying, I want to see the movie first. You know.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Chris Lawrence says true. I think he's actually backing up Joe. Chris, don't listen to him, man. Stay with me, Chris. We're gonna go all in on
Ted,
this
you're
movie.
hyping it up as the best film ever that's ever been created in the history of cinematography. You know, and I'm just like, dude.
Which is going to be hard for him because there's another trailer we're going to talk about, which he talked about the same way. So it can't be both of them.
Not the same way. Not
You
the
were
same way,
excited
by
about
any
Wonder
means.
Woman too. I'm just gonna say that. I ain't a fan of the damn Rock.
Let's move on before we just rail into this.
I'll say
There you
this.
go. Go ahead,
I
Mike.
understand where Joe's coming from,
Mhm.
but I personally want to get hyped for this because it looked really awesome. Like the trailer, like we kind of said earlier, I enjoyed the original one from the '90s. Like I know it's kind of corny at times, but it also tried to, put in things from the game as much as it could. But this one seems to be so serious, yet all the action looked amazing. Like my favorite scene was Sub-Zero like cutting the guy, freezing his blood, and then turning it into like a weapon, and then like that was like. Now, will it be the best movie ever? I don't know, but it looks like something that after I finish watching it, I'll be like, "Hey, that was a heck of a time. Like, I did not waste my 2 hours." Where I rank it in the all-time movies, we'll give it time, but I want to have fun. It looks like it.
Let's be totally clear though by what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say this is going to surpass all Mortal Kombat movie expectations. I know it's not a high bar.
That's not hard to do.
I agree.
It could be. It could be hard to do.
Going to far exceed the expectations of the first one, and especially the second one, because we all know that's a shithole.
Mortal Kombat Cameo Edition. Yeah.
I will say, for no matter what, this movie is going to be a top 3 video game adaptation, but I'm gonna put it at the top. I'm gonna put it at the top of that list.
We got to put a bet then, Ted. We got to put a bet, and I'm gonna have to call you out right damn now.
But
If the movie really delivers,
what are your top 3 video game adaptations right now?
Like I'm just saying, if the movie really delivers,
Double Dragon, Mario Brothers.
Oh Lord,
gosh.
you see, you had to bring it up. I was trying to be good and not say anything about that movie. Why do you got to bring up old shit for, Mike?
I mean,
you know what? This episode's over. I'm just playing.
Would it be the first time I've done it?
You know how JC is about that shit, dude. You don't bring up that fucking movie.
It's something we don't talk about. We just don't talk about that movie.
Oh, wait a minute. I think Chris is on my side.
Yeah.
Let's see. He said, let's see. He said, don't ever. I definitely agree that some trailers are way better than the movie. What if the best scene in the whole movie is Sub-Zero ripping off Jax's arms and now it's ruined? I'm telling you it's not.
Okay, look at this is what I'll do for you, Ted.
Hold on, he's not done. Chris isn't done. Listen to Chris. He says,
right.
but I don't think so. I think this movie is going to kick ass. He also mentioned Brutal, probably one of the things that we saw. He said
Probably the
best
first Mortal
thing,
Kombat.
He said the best thing about the movies is the song. Oh Lord, we really sat through that whole movie just
Mortal
to listen to the song
Kombat.
some more.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I
Although
guess that's always
it's
the secret.
funny how that came full circle because the actor that played Shang Tsung in the movie is now playing Shang Tsung in the current iteration of the video game.
That's
He was a
awesome.
good cast.
No, he was a good cast. And as far as the Cole Young character, I got 2 theories. Either it's Johnny Cage in disguise, or that guy's going to be a DLC in a couple months when the movie comes out. He's going to be a DLC on the current Mortal Kombat
Okay.
game. It's
Could see
probably what's
that.
going to end up
That
happening.
would actually make
I'll
sense.
say
Yeah.
anything.
See that.
I'll say anything is possible.
Well,
Yeah.
let's do this, Ted. If the movie is really good and it delivers on all fronts, I will come out here and publicly apologize and say I was wrong
the
for
tape.
not believing in it from day one. But if it is a shit of a movie and you overhyped it, you're gonna have to come out here and you're gonna have to tell the people you're sorry.
Yeah.
I would totally do that. I would totally do that. I want you to figure out a way to quantify it though. Like, is it going to be if you come out and say, it was all right, but then Mike and JC and me and
Rotten
Chris
Tomatoes.
and
No,
Jericho
I'm gonna
and
be
Rob
honest
comes out of
with you.
retirement and says that was
There's
the
my
greatest
wife.
movie
Mortal
ever."
Kombat can't wait. I told you guys she was hyped for it.
I'll
There
be
you go.
honest. I'm going to be unbiased in my opinion about the movie
hope
because I'm
so.
going to
I hope
watch the
so.
movie first, before I say anything about it. And then I'm going to save everything until we come out and we do our movie review. If the movie has a collective average of at least 3, we'll base it off of a 5-star rating. If it's 3 or higher, I'm sorry. If it's 3 or lower, if it comes out to, let's say, below 3, where the consensus is it's just mediocre and not good, you got to tell the people you're sorry for overhyping
I would
it.
totally do that. I won't guarantee anything on my score, but I'm gonna let you know. And I'm talking to y'all, and I'm talking to.
And you need to
Christina,
wear a shirt that says, I should have listened
And
to
I'm
Joe.
talking. I'm also talking to Chris.
And he's talking to you, Keith Ashley.
This movie is
Ted,
going.
Go ahead and read my wife's comments. I'll let you read them.
Let's see. She says,
I'm just
I
being
own
realistic.
The other 2 movies. I don't care. I will admit it. And Joe is such a negative Nancy.
I'm not being negative. I'm being realistic. Look, when I review a movie,
He wants to keep his cards close to the chest. That's totally fine. The thing that I'm most excited for about this film, not just because it's a Mortal Kombat film, is because they're actually putting a lot of drama into the story. Whereas you could just get an entire martial arts film that's going to blow all of our minds, because they're trying to stay true.
Ted is like,
the
this is the next
martial
coming
arts.
of Bruce Lee, bro. Yeah,
Actually,
no, hombre,
I'll
shut
tell you-
up.
I'll tell you
No,
about that
hombre,
in a
shut
second.
up.
I'll tell you about that in a second. Not only are they trying to elevate the martial arts in movies, but they're trying to stick to the times. When you see the flashbacks of Hanzo Asashi, they actually try and use the fighting styles of like feudal Japan back in those days. So they just spent so much time planning this movie out, and that's why I'm putting it such a high pedestal right now.
Do you want to be a samurai,
kn-
Ted? I think you really do, dude.
Real quick. Joe Taslim in this movie. Joe is also in Warrior, which is on
Okay.
HBO Max. I've talked about it on the show. Warrior is based on a series or a movie that Bruce Lee wrote. It's about 18th century tribal Chinese gangs in San Francisco. And Bruce Lee wrote this. He pitched it. Nobody picked it up. Well, they made it into a series. And Joe Taslim is in that show. He's an absolute beast. And that he's also playing Sub-Zero in Mortal Kombat. So I
Alright.
cannot wait to see Sub-Zero go off.
Let's pitch
in
it
this
to
movie.
Mike. Mike's been waiting patiently.
He said, Mike, what was your favorite part? You already called it out, right?
Oh yeah, it was just the Sub-Zero freezing cutting him, freezing the blood, and making the knife.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of already said it, but I understand him, wanting to wait to see what it is, and it's clear that Steady, you've read a lot about it. You got a lot, you do understand or know about it.
A little
so
pee came out of him.
That's fine. Yeah. To steal from forgetting Sarah Marshall, he went from 6 to midnight. So
From a fighting game fan, like I am a big fighting game guy. I have watched the Street Fighter movies. I've seen the Mortal Kombat movies. I've seen the Tekken movie. I've seen the Dead or Alive movie. There's a lot of fighting game adaptations that have not gone well.
What was that other
Some are-
movie? Was it Bloody Rain or was it that horrible vampire one?
Blood Rain?
Blood
Blood
Rain.
Rain.
Oh,
that
God.
was
yeah.
yeah. So
that was horrible.
it's hard to make a fighting game story into a good movie, but this has. I mean, I'm intrigued to hear that. I'm intrigued to see this. I'm gonna watch it. It's not costing me anything because it's on HBO Max, thank God. So I'm gonna be enjoying that much of it, and I'll have an open mind going in as well. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited too.
But as far as top video game movie of all time, we'll see. Sonic was really good last year, and right now I think that's tops for me.
You know
So,
what's
but-
funny that you mentioned Sonic? I was watching that before we came on to record this with my kids, and my oldest didn't watch it with us when we went to the theater. So he was just like, he's already like 23, so he's sitting on the sofa and he's like, "Dad, this movie's pretty good." I'm like,
It was pretty good,
you, man.
Mm-hmm.
He liked Jim Carrey. He was the star of that one, dude. Beyond just Sonic, you know, he was funny as a character, Dr. Robotnik. So
it was good fun. It was entertaining as hell.
yeah, I'm excited about the actual movie, Ted. I just don't want to get overhyped about it because I want to see the movie first. You know, I want to see does it actually deliver.
We're trying to get your blood pumping so you stay warm in that studio you got there. That's what we're trying to do. So.
I'm the realist out of the bunch. I'm just saying, dude.
All right, So, JC, did you say your favorite part of the trailer yet?
There's a lot to it. I like the fact that they showcased a lot of the characters and they looked really good.
Oh yeah.
Reptile looked great. Raiden looked good. Goro
haven't seen
looked
Reptile
great.
yet.
We did see Reptile really quick. Yes, we did. Look
you
again.
didn't see the trailer, Ted. Look at it again.
Look again, really quick.
I want to be very careful about it.
It looked like Reptile, so I'm just gonna say that. You get a quick shot of Noob Saibot, which was cool. So there's little things here and there that you look for and you find.
But did you see Baraka?
I need to watch it again. If I missed Baraka, I need to check that out. I did see Melina, which was cool.
No.
If Kitana's not in this movie, though, I fucking riot. That's my character. All right, so
my daughter loves Kitana.
Good, yeah, best character in the game.
Yes, I agree. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. I think anything like Reptile. I think some of those guys are being held back. There's going to be some big reveals later on, especially if you start bringing in some like really big name characters. In TV shows right now, or some big name actors in martial arts TV series. If you bring them out and reveal them, I think it'd be huge. Can't wait. If you want to check out the trailer, if you haven't seen it yet, we spoiled the hell out of it. It's on our Facebook page at Countdown to the Geekcast. It comes out in around 2 months, right? The 16th, so just under 2 months of April. Yeah.
Damn it! You know what we should have done? We should have
wait.
gotten a reply from Jericho on what he thought about the actual trailer before we came in.
Text him right now. Tell him to join the stream and say, "What's up, bruh?"
Yeah.
All right. We're going to move on to our next trailer, but we want to hear from you. If you haven't mentioned it yet, in the comments right now as you're watching this, so let us know what you thought about the Mortal Kombat trailer and what your favorite part was and what you're expecting to do. My favorite part was when Sub-Zero created that ice wall and threw that dude through it. Oh, my freaking God, man. So awesome. All right. The next trailer we're going to talk about came out on the 14th. Happy Valentine's Day for everybody we missed. And it was all about Zack Snyder's Justice League. And
all right, let me know when y'all get to WandaVision.
I knew Mike was going to do it.
Before we talk about the trailer, I think there's a lot of confusion amongst fans or non-fans out there. And I'll just really quickly say this one last time before the movie comes out in just about a month. Everything that we are getting in this movie, with the exception of like 5 minutes, everything was original footage. Zack had recorded like 5 hours of movie, finished recording, filmed everything, and went into post-production to edit the movie, and unfortunately had a tragedy in the family, stepped away from the post-production, and that was that. And years later, they gave him an opportunity to finish it. So all of that is what we're getting in this movie. Joss Whedon probably used 20 minutes or less of Zack Snyder's original footage. Everything was reshot. He wrote his own story. He kind of hit a couple of bullet points that Zack did, but he really just changed the entire soul of what Justice League was supposed to be, and he either did it on his own or he was told to do it by WB executives, many of which are no longer in power over at WB because of one reason or another. Thank God. Zack did do one thing though. He brought Ben Affleck, he brought Jared Leto in, he brought a few actors in, and he recorded 5 additional minutes. And I'm not gonna say what it is, but he recorded like somewhere around 5 additional minutes for a new scene that's somewhere in this movie. And again, I won't say what it's about, but that's all it is. So 5 new minutes is new footage, a new part that he filmed. The other like 3 hours and 55 minutes is all the original footage from his filming many years ago. We're talking like 2017 when he filmed this, 2018 when he filmed this. So that's where we're at now. We got the trailer, and
We live reacted to it, by the way, if you haven't
we
seen
did
it yet.
live react to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, go check
Yeah.
out that video.
Seems like
I
so long
forgot we
ago
did that.
considering the week, right? Yeah.
Shoot, it's been like a month. Chris says, which film is more hype, Snyder Cut or MK? You'll be surprised. I'm actually going to say MK only because I can't get more hype for Snyder Cut right now. Like everything. Listen, we've been talking about this movie for years because it wasn't supposed to come out. And every time we found out like a new storyline or a new arc or a new element in the Snyder Cut, we would discuss it because we never thought we'd see it, right? JC, we talked so
Pretty much, yeah.
a lot of what we're gonna see for like the three of us or the four of us, we've probably talked about already, and it's a little bit of a spoiler, so we're not gonna mention it again. But I can't get any more excited for Snyder Cut. I kind of already know what to expect, and I'm gonna love it no matter what because it's a better story already, in my opinion. And Christina says hashtag Snyder Cut, and she says though I love all things MK, so
Yep.
she's more excited for Snyder Cut.
Yeah.
Her
JC,
Mortal
we'll go-
Kombat arcade stick is in that closet behind me, by the way.
I'm
telling you guys
totally
right now.
getting off subject, but just an FYI, before we finish the live stream, I did text Jericho, so I got his thoughts on the MK trailer. So we'll kind of put that in at the end.
There you go. There you go. I love this trailer. I don't know what my favorite part is. I guess we'll just say Leto at the end because I didn't know if they were going to release him, but I love it. JC, let's go to you, sir. Your thoughts on the trailer?
Black Suit looks great. That's my biggest thing too.
yeah.
The Black Suit looks really good. They show a lot of what's going on and they don't reveal what the story is, and I think I like that about the trailer. There's so many scenes that are similar to what we saw in the original theatrical cut, and yet first of all, Steppenwolf looks so much better. I think we can all agree with that. He looks so much better CG wise than
So
what he
dope.
did before. Yeah.
He looks more alien this time.
The inclusion of Darkseid as well. It's got me excited about the film. They gave us a trailer, but they didn't give us what the story's about, and that's what I expect out of a trailer. I just give me something to see what I'm going to see in the film, a few things here and there, and then surprise me with the whole movie. So that's
what did you think
I
about the
expected.
Joker? Talk about the Joker.
This is going okay. And I know Joe wants me to answer this because I didn't think Jared Leto's Joker was that bad. I think it was just an issue of we need to see the David Akers cut of Suicide Squad.
The Ayers cut.
The Ayers cut. Yeah.
No more hashtags.
Mike just hates the hashtags on this stuff, but if your Iconics hashtag, if you want me to support that, you got to support this. But I will say. You know what? It's I know it's a they're calling. I mean, we've talked about it on the trailer reaction. It's a nightmare sequence, but I like the look of it. I like this, and if this is a hype moment already, I'm really hoping we see a lot more of Jared Leto's Joker because I didn't think he did a bad job. I just had an issue. If it was an issue of the studio stepped in and changed what his whole storyline was going to be in Suicide Squad. And I think that's another movie that deserves a director's cut release. And
He says he has it. He just needs to release it.
Yeah, I want that back. I want Krypton back, for crying out loud. So HBO Max is the platform for this kind of thing, and it's very possible. I've said it from the start when they announced the Snyder Cut. This is going to reset everything. This is going to get everything in the DCEU on the right track. Aquaman and Wonder Woman were made with the thought that the Snyder Cut version of Justice League was what they had in mind. Every movie that's come out since then has had the idea that the version of the Justice League is the one that we got from Zack Snyder. So this is going to get everything on the right path, and I'm ready for it. I'm ready to go back and watch the movies in order, watch this, and then watch after that, and have it all make sense more. So
I kind of lied on my favorite part. It's actually not Leto. It's Granny Goodness because I did not expect to see Granny Goodness in this trailer, and we saw Granny
yeah.
Goodness. and it's really hard to see who it is.
I hope it's Betty White. I really hope it's Betty White. Yeah.
JC says Betty White.
Okay.
I say Kathy
If
Bates.
it's Betty White, I'll be in. If it's Betty White, then I'll flip.
Kathy
I'll flip
Bates?
my way I see things.
I want it to be Kathy Bates. I think she can be the most terrifying woman if she wants to, and that's what Granny Goodness is supposed to be, and just haunt your dreams. Mike, let's go to you, sir. Your favorite part of the trailer and your overall thoughts about the trailer.
Before you speak, Mike, Tina says #math, #Iconics reunion. Come on, Mike.
Come on,
Mike.
Look, I'll be honest with you guys, because JC texted me. It was on Saturday. It was like, "Hey, you want to do the live reaction for the trailer?" And I was like, "Really? You want me?" And then he was like, "Yeah, come on." I was like, "Look, let me just take a few things to say. I do not hate DC Comics or anything.
We know.
I just have not been a fan of their particular attempt at a DCEU, if you will. I'm not saying they made bad movies by any stretch. I just didn't really feel connected to the Superman movie. I think he looks great as Superman. I'm not really to the whole character overall, though. Batman versus or Superman was kind of rushed to me. There were some things I didn't like, and I tried to like the Justice League, and obviously we found out it wasn't the version that was intended. I will say this: if this had been the trailer and this had been
the movie,
what we got originally, I might have been more apt to it. Understand there was obviously family tragedy involved, and then Whedon came in and changed everything. I kind of felt like their attempt was just falling flat. For me, Wonder Woman was the only character in movie I actually enjoyed. Aquaman
Shazam?
wasn't too bad, and Shazam, but that wasn't really originally a part of this kind of story. That was kind of an extra thing.
Mhm.
So my biggest thing was getting beat down with release the Snyder cut for years. And I get it, some of y'all want it. Like, I know JC's a Superman super fan. I've known that for years, and I get that. I just was ready to move on and see what they would kind of, redo things. There looks like some great action in here. It looks like a lot more, obviously, because it's going to be 4 hours, than what you got out of, the one that came out originally. I was just ready to move on, and I was kind of getting beat down with release Snyder cut, and then, all this talk about it. So I'm glad y'all are getting this movie that y'all been looking forward to. I don't know if I'm going to watch it. I don't plan to.
Jericho's coming in.
Dun,
Really?
dun, dun.
Jericho!
Oh,
shit.
What?
Actual cameo
What?
We have a
What?
cameo by Jericho. What's up, dude? Good
He's
you
coming
could
out
join
with the
us.
metal chair to take out Mike.
Boom,
What
outta
did you
here,
say
Mike.
about Superman? Abba.
Yeah. Well, let's get Jericho's take too after Mike's.
Well, Mike, go ahead and finish your thought, Mike.
No, I mean, that was about it. So I'm glad that you guys that are hyped for getting your movies. I give Steady and JC a lot of crap about it just because it's fun and that's what we do. But that was really my thing.
Fun. Fun.
Look,
And-
Mike, I know you're a big Marvel guy, and I'm not gonna knock them off. They're amazing. Save Thor: Dark World. I think that was the worst one, but it's you got a full saga to it, and it's been awesome. But like I said, DC fans, Ted himself was scorned with Young Justice getting canceled. The fans brought that back, and the fans got some power here in this one, and I hope a lot of things that just get canceled way too early. There's a lot of things great, DC, the animated movies, a lot of the TV series.
Oh, I agree with you. I watched the CW show. I love Smallville.
Bring
Yeah.
back Constantine. Bring back Swamp Thing.
I think Constantine is coming back, by the way.
Yeah.
I think I've seen that.
reboot,
it got
yeah.
picked up. It got picked up. So,
Not
which, by
sure
the way,
about
Mike, I don't know
that.
if you saw, but the MCU got the rights back for The Punisher
Yeah.
and Jessica Jones from Netflix as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
So, but I get it, Mike. You're just sick of seeing the hashtag all the time, probably especially for me and Ted.
And Teddy knows, 'cause I think I've talked to him too. There were some posts and some people online that would just take it way too seriously and way too, I don't know, over the top. And I was like, all right, cool. I don't know. But again, glad for you guys. I don't know if I want to sit through 4 hours. But if he puts everything in there that it seems that he's putting in there, then, maybe it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Real
We're-
quick, Joe, are we okay on the stream? I see we're going in and out.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's internet connectivity issues. I went ahead and lowered the quality a little bit on the video stream itself, just for the video conferencing, not for the actual stream, to see if that would help with the internet connectivity issues. So
All right.
we're still able to
If you're
talk.
Just getting
If you're-
overwhelmed because I'm here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my
If
God,
you're-
he's here.
If you're
What-
watching this stream right now, let us know if we're having audio issues or if you can still hear us but can't see us. Then that's fine. We're gonna keep
Yeah.
moving on no
They-
matter what.
If you're not
But let
talking
us
on here,
know.
mute. That might help too.
Yeah.
Just throw that out there.
Yeah. So we're all back now. Everything looks good. So we're good to go. So Jericho,
Fantastic.
we're talking about the Justice League trailer and we're getting our reactions. What was your
Yeah.
reaction to the Justice League trailer?
It looks good, man. I'm excited for it. I give Ted, I give Ted a lot of crap about it because, like, he makes it seem like this is his child. like he and Zack Snyder went way back for many years, and they've been making this movie together. So I give him a lot of crap for that, but it looks really good. Like what I don't know. I'm just trying to think. I just don't want it to be overhyped. I don't want it to be where, for one thing, we're seeing too much in the trailers or clips or anything like that. Because we have, a couple of months or 1 month left, right? So
Yeah.
so much can be shown. And I know it's a 4-hour movie, and everyone keeps saying that. But, again, 4-hour movie can be ruined by a lot of pivotal clips or long scenes, that we get to see or 2 or 3 more trailers. So as long as they don't do that, because Marvel did that for me with what was it? Oh man, so not Civil War. Yeah, Civil War, right? No, what's the one? Ultron, Age of Ultron.
Oh, yeah.
They
yeah.
did that with the whole Hulkbuster fight. That
They
really
did it
pissed
with
me off.
Ragnarok too by showing Gladiator Hulk.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, exactly.
save that, damn it!
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as long as they don't do that stuff, so far everything looks amazing. Again, 4-hour movie. I hope they're able to really get everything that Snyder was trying to get in, and really see his vision. Even if this is the absolute last movie that we get from the Snyderverse, that's fine with me. But if it opens up some stuff, hey, so be it. But I liked the first movie, or the original, whatever, the original cut, the Whedon cut. But as this one, I can already tell just from the trailer alone, it looks so much better. So I'm excited for it.
And no mustache either.
No
No
mustache.
mustache.
Yeah.
We're
Not just
talking
no
about
mustache, but no, badly CGI on the mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Yeah,
thought
so
the
it looks-
trailer
it
was
looks
good
awesome.
too. I thought the trailer was good too. It makes you
Yeah.
excited to see what this iteration of the Justice League is going to be, because this is the one that we were supposed to get. But we didn't just changed a lot of things, and it was kind of lackluster. It was mediocre. While it did have its moments, it just wasn't the movie that fans had expected to see.
Yeah.
Based on what they were seeing in trailers and the overhyped, hypeness, I guess you could say, that was all over social media for this movie. Fans had waited for years for it, and it just underdelivered. I'm hoping that this will actually be the version that fans really wanted to see. And if it is, like Jericho said, the end of the Snyderverse, then let it go out with a bang, and set up some things for hopefully some new series, or if they're going to go in a different direction with the DC movies moving forward, maybe this sets everything up for that. So I'm excited. We've already seen the Justice League, but the addition of extra scenes and the extra footage, it's almost like JC says,
The real story.
yeah, it's going to make it a totally different movie. It's going to shine a totally different light on it, and hopefully it's for the better. That's what I'm hoping for,
And kind of like what you said, Joe, we saw the trailers for it, and it looked great, right? It looked like an amazing movie. And then what we got in theaters, like what I was saying, is the Whedon cut. Like he made so many changes. I remember reading articles about additional scenes being done and changes made. So like what we were expecting, we got totally different from what we were expecting, compared to what we were being shown. And then it's like, getting the Wish version of the movie, of the trailers that we were told, and the clips and stills and all the stuff that we were expecting. So I don't think that'll happen with this one, with the Snyder cut. But yeah, like with the first one, we can sit here all day. We've already reviewed it, but we can sit here all day and tear it apart.
Let me ask you a question, Jericho. What did you think of the last scene of the trailer and Jared Leto as the Joker?
I don't know, man. Like, so I got excited hearing his voice because I'm like, oh, I bet that's the Joker. And then they show him, so I'm like, ooh. And for him to just kind of be there, I don't know if he's partnering with, there's so many questions. I don't know if he's partnering with Batman. Is he defeated at this point? Is he kind of becoming humanized? Because now he's like, there's a much bigger threat than me, than the Joker. I don't know. There's so many questions, and the looks so freaking sick. Like it just looks creepy as hell. You know what I mean? Like not like other versions of him. It just looks really creepy, and hopefully he does a great job. Jared Leto is a great actor, and I've loved a lot of stuff that he's come out in. Suicide Squad, I think they really dropped the ball on him, and I don't think it was his fault. I think it was what we were given. But it looks really cool seeing him in there, and who knows what his role is in there as Joker, and how long he'll even be there or what.
Yeah.
So it looks really cool.
I like this version of the Joker for the Justice League, JC. I'm not going to lie. I like the voice. I like the darker undertone. I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens.
All right.
I love
Got
it.
some grape soda on ice and a bearskin rug. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Listen, man. Listen. Like Jericho said, if we don't get anything after this, I'm cool. I'm not going to moan about that. But at least we'll get sort of the real version of what we're supposed to see. And if anything, at the very least, it's going to feel like a real trilogy when you put it against BVS and Man of Steel. It's going to feel like
ultimate
a
edition of BVS.
trilogy.
The ultimate edition of BVS.
It's ultimate edition of BVS. It will feel like a cohesive trilogy, which not all trilogies are like that. Not all trilogies feel like they're made from the same cloth. So this will actually feel that way, because the theatrical Justice League that we got felt like it was just another comic book company altogether. It didn't feel like DC. It didn't feel like it was in the same universe. So at least the tones, the underlying tones, the feel of it, the cinematic look of it is all going to be consistent. And we get to see Ben Affleck one more time, who I've always said has been the most consistent, accurate looking Batman to date, because he's whatever he is, he's 250 solid muscle. Like Batman is a big
So
dude.
you weren't a fan of Keaton's Batman, or?
Keaton's Batman's great, but like comic book wise, he doesn't have as much rubber. I thought he's great, but I also wanted to see a more comic accurate Batman, and Keaton probably fights. Keaton probably fights the best up until Ben Affleck, because like Bale didn't show a lot of the martial arts skills that Batman, Bruce Wayne's supposed to know. Clooney and Kilmer, I don't really know if they really went that far with it. So
again, we don't talk about Clooney.
He brought the credit card. You never leave home without
See,
it.
man, y'all are really trying to piss off JC today. I think he's gonna bounce, dude.
I'm not mad. I just one of the things we don't talk about, right?
That and
Right,
the Mario
Tina?
Brothers,
We don't talk
dude.
about
We don't
Clooney?
talk about that shit, dude.
Look,
All right.
You gotta include it all in there, man. You can't just hide it away. You can't just.
Can't act like those didn't happen. All right.
Well, unless
that
Deadpool goes back in
is-
time and changes that, because the Green Lantern movie never happened. That's canon.
True
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
needs to be erased from
Exactly.
history, bro.
Exactly. I think Keaton's Batman's Gotham is what really makes that movie great. That's Chris Lawrence again. Totally agree.
That's Tim Burton.
That's Tim Burton. That's what he excels at. Totally. And I don't think you can get better at a Batman film the way Burton wanted to do it. Burton probably did the best comic book look, feel, tone out of anybody, just overall in general. But you take a lot of liberties with that. You take a lot of liberties of like not explaining how this came to be, like where did he get this Batmobile? Where does he get these planes?
Where does he get those wonderful toys?
So he does a great job by getting away with those things, not having to explain everything all the way. Whereas a guy like Chris Nolan, when he made Batman films, he tried to explain every single detail. Oh, this is where he got his belt from, and this is who builds this and all that. So
yeah, the coolest thing about this whole Snyder Cut thing is that my favorite superhero of all time is going to be in the same movie as my favorite supervillain of all time. And you don't see that very often, considering it's the Joker and Superman. Joker's always tied to Batman. So to see this come together, I think is something really cool. Something I'm personally going to enjoy. Probably as much as I did enjoy seeing the Trinity, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman on the screen at the same time in BVS for the very first time in history. As a longtime fan, you almost tear up a bit just watching that. It's like it's amazing to see.
Yeah.
So,
I gotta ask Jericho one thing, because that's why he's on here right now.
Mortal
Kombat, dude. Give us your thoughts on the trailer
and your favorite part of the trailer, your favorite moment.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so as far as my thoughts on the trailer, again, it looks great. It definitely looks like a totally different movie than what we got last time. Darker.
Yeah.
Dark Side looks amazing. Granny's there.
Talk about Mortal Kombat.
Oh, Mortal Kombat? I thought we were talking about.
Well, he just asked you about Mortal Kombat.
We were, but that's what it was.
Oh shit, my bad.
I was like, damn, this is a good Mortal Kombat
too?
movie. I'm digging this one, dude.
I gotta go back and watch the trailer.
All right, I'm out.
What did you think about the
Mortal
Mortal Kombat? Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. Here we go.
I should have let him go.
What I had texted you, Joe. It looks freaking sick. It looks so badass. I don't know. Like, there's a ton of characters in there that I feel like we got to see between the first two movies, even though we don't like the second movie. But I feel like we got to see a lot of these characters now. Like it's a good mix of them. And I would say my favorite part has to be Sub-Zero, freaking beating up that one dude. Blood flies out, makes a spear out of it, right, or a little dagger or whatever. Impales it on the dude, makes like a freaking wall of ice spikes, throws him at him. That's
Get
a
over there.
fatality if I've ever seen it. So that just looks sick. And then I think my other favorite part was seeing him fighting Jax and then freezing his arms and then breaking them off. And oh my god, like, so that right there already tells me Jax is just going to be gunning for him. Like he's going to come back with a vengeance. So that looks badass.
Chris Nolan says the same thing. Sub-Zero freezing Jax's arms.
Yeah.
Played by Makad Brooks, who plays Jimmy Olsen on Supergirl, by the way.
Yep.
Ripping his arms
Jimmy
off.
Olsen. But no, so it looks really good. I'm excited for it. What is it, April? So we're a little over 2 months away, or just under 2 months away. So,
just under, yeah.
So it's exciting. Looks really good. It reminds me actually a little bit of the YouTube series that came out a few years ago.
Yes.
So it kind of has that feel to it, But
the web series was awesome.
But with a bigger budget, of course. So I don't know, man. I'm excited. And Kung Lao to be coming out, like, I don't think I've seen a live action version of him. So yeah, I'm excited for that.
Ooh, you know what? There was a USA series years ago, and I want to go back and watch it because I have such a vague memory about it. Like, I couldn't even tell you if it was good or not. But it was a live action Mortal Kombat series. It was just the worst, wrong time. Nobody cared about it whatsoever. Probably 2 seasons. I don't know. Does anybody remember watching it?
I don't.
Never.
But the fact that it got more than one season is pretty epic. I mean, let's
Yeah.
if nobody watched it.
So weird that I can remember that right now. But yeah, live action Mortal Kombat series on the USA Network, out of all places.
Right
I mean, I was
I'm gonna try and find that.
Yeah. So.
yeah, I was actually probably watching USA Network a lot because it was like Monday Night Raw,
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat series.
And
Monday
so
Night Raw.
Stalking's right after that, right, Mike?
Man, you know what? Talking about all this Mortal Kombat, we gotta.
It was awesome back in the
Oh,
day.
hold on. There we go.
My ass.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tina.
Yeah. And Ryan and Angela.
Oh yeah,
What were you gonna say,
I gotta give a shout out to Ryan, the
Your
elderly
mic's messed
gentleman.
up. We can hear you echo.
Okay,
You just lost power in your mic, sir.
did I?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Take it to him.
There, now y'all should hear me.
There you
Yeah,
go.
we can hear you. Yeah.
All right. No, I said I gotta give a shout out to Ryan, the elderly gentleman from Alamo City Movie Talk. Right back at you, bro.
Yeah, shout out to Ryan.
I've
Hope
done
he's
two
okay.
shows with him, and on two of those shows, I'm the only one that remembers the snowstorm of '85. So it's just crazy. I think I was the only one alive. So I did Alamo City Movie Talk, and then I did Island of Reality. I think Mike, I don't know. I mean, we were the same age. I'm a few months older than you, but you were alive during that. I'm Joe. I'm sure you remember. You're older than us. Yeah.
Right.
So.
I think you should have that
Yeah.
shirt made.
I'll do that
If they don't
too.
remember the blizzard of '85, they're too young, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
I
wasn't born yet, so-
remember.
Yeah. January '85.
I was 6 months old at the time.
Oh man,
4 months,
dude.
4 months old at the time.
Yeah.
So I was
Remember?
there. I was there. All right. That was our thoughts on Mortal Kombat, our thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League trailer. Now let's get to the moment, or the reason why we're all here today. WandaVision episode 6, which episode 7 is going to drop in like 3.5 hours. I'll probably stay up and watch that.
I'm probably gonna stay up and watch it.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I'm thinking that too.
Me too, Joe. Let's
There you
do
go.
a
I'll
let's do a watch along. Whoever's gonna be here, we'll do a watch along.
JC, I'm out.
Tina's not going to stay up. I watched it with her. We'll probably watch
Yeah.
it when I get lunch tomorrow. I only got a half day at work. As I sign off, we're watching it. So, yeah.
Awesome,
Jericho's
awesome,
gonna be
awesome.
feeding the baby, so he'll be awake.
You'll be awake,
Yeah.
Jared. Join in on the fun, sir. All right, WandaVision episode 6. If you haven't seen it, we're gonna spoil the hell out of it. I feel like this is just kind of a stepping stone for the last third of this season. Really exciting stuff. So we'll kind of start at the top, beginning of the show and the episode, and go through it, and then give our final theories. I think because we're gonna start really going off on this show, and they're making the episodes a little bit longer than they were. They were usually
Allegedly.
around 20-25 minutes
Yeah.
before. The last 3 episodes, there's a lot of reports out there, but the official word is they're going to be around 35 minutes each. We heard like
heard that.
hours. We
Yeah.
heard hours, but I think the official final report was like 35, 40 minutes tops.
Okay.
Not to
That
burst any
makes sense.
bubbles.
Why make them the last 3 that long? You know, like if
Why
that's
not?
the case, then make more episodes. You know, like break them down into 30-minute episodes instead.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. All right, let's start at the beginning of the episode. We get a pretty cool intro. It's all about Malcolm in the Middle. Any Malcolm in the Middle fans?
Right
Yeah.
here.
Right
Not
here.
a fan, but I remember the show. Yeah. So I wasn't a religious watcher, but I remember the opening. Yeah.
Yeah, similar.
And somebody
Lot of-
actually dubbed the Malcolm in the Middle intro song to the intro of WandaVision. It was great, dude.
Damn it!
Someone just needs to insert that the Hitman versus Chris Benoit match that's in the intro of it. I know we can't really mention Benoit
Right,
anymore. but
yeah.
Well,
I always, of course, because it was a wrestling thing, I always remember that part of it. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a WWE production, so we can probably mention it here.
Right?
Chris is going to
Life isn't fair, he
give
says.
us his theory. Chris, drop the theory now, and when we get to the end of the discussion, I'm going to make sure and call it out. So go ahead and drop it, man. A couple of lines that I thought were really interesting in the intro song. What if it's all an illusion and no way of knowing who's coming to play? What if it's all an illusion, meaning like, what if Marvel decides to say like, oops, none of this happened? It's not the first time something like that's been done on a TV series. Are they willing to do that? I really doubt it. I really doubt it. But it would explain why like none of this is recalled at all in Spider-Man Far From Home, which if we're getting to like global ramifications of Westview and how Wanda's, changing things on like a national level, because she's really affecting a lot of areas around here. Why doesn't anything get called out in Far From Home? Maybe it's all an illusion. Maybe it's not.
Because you
And
can't
I
go
think-
forwards and backwards in times. You can go sideways.
Mhm. But also, I
This
mean,
is
for it
before
to-
Far From Home, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it takes place before Far From Home. But I mean, just because it happened, like let's say it's all connected. I mean, Spider-Man doesn't have to reference it. Like they don't have to bring it up. And who knows? Maybe whatever happens at the very end
But why?
maybe
But
he's
why
just not
wouldn't
aware of
you
it or
though?
something.
Because they bring up so many elements of Endgame, and I understand you don't want to give anything away with WandaVision, but if when we get to later on in this episode, I think these events in this episode we're talking about really impact a lot of different things. And the theories going out there are talking about like world global changing events. So if it's something on that level, why doesn't it get referenced?
Well, check this
Maybe
out.
it's not all
With
real at all.
Mysterio, they didn't need a lot of convincing when he said he came from a different universe.
Yeah.
They went with it. They embraced it like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this is normal.
He was also
See,
dealing
so-
with a high schooler and a scroll posing as Nick Fury, though.
But it's
But
a high
the-
schooler
the-
who's a genius. He has a genius
The
level
point
IQ.
is, they could believe the multiverse thing because it's being set up here in essence, right? That
Right.
I mean, that's the theory we're going with. Is it's all being set up in this
No.
WandaVision.
But also, you're saying it changes the world, and do people actually know what's going on in this little town? I mean, how much
Not
of the
yet.
public know about this? At least
Yeah.
from what we've seen so far. I mean, it just seems like one of those things that the sword came in and they're trying to contain, and you're right. And obviously, what happens in the next few episodes maybe changes our whole view of why that doesn't happen. But
Yeah.
it may be one of those things that the government's keeping under wraps, if you will.
Mhm.
Just it's so small, located in a little town right now. So.
For now.
Yeah.
This is our Halloween spectacular episode. Every TV show has an amazing Halloween
It's the
spectacular episode.
spooktacular episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was saying in general, Halloween spectacular
Yeah.
episodes. I'll just throw it out because the first one that pops to my mind is Boy Meets World, the Halloween episode,
Mhm.
where not
Jennifer
oh,
Love
gosh.
Hewitt?
No, Boy Meets
Oh,
World.
man.
Where
Don't get me started
who's
on
the
that,
main
bro.
Character?
Ben
Corey?
Savage, Corey.
Corey, but his friend Sean.
John.
John.
Yeah.
Sean is.
Oh my
is
God, Tina's
is-
gonna rail you right now.
Oh,
Listen,
Lord.
listen. Sean is actually in the episode of Boy Meets World. There's a killer going
Yeah.
around murdering all the students.
Yeah.
And Sean's the last one alive. And he actually goes to unmask the killer. And I'm not gonna say what happens, but let's just say it was pretty damn epic. And
It was a Scooby Doo type.
it was great.
Yeah.
Anyways,
That was
all
a
right,
good
this
episode.
this is our Halloween spooktacular episode for WandaVision. And I know JC's favorite part of the episode is clearly Wanda in her Sokovian fortune teller outfit. Am I right?
I love the fact that their costumes were their original
Yeah.
comic versions of
Yeah.
themselves. I enjoyed all of that.
It's so meta. It's so
it's
meta.
so
I love
great.
it.
Love the Visions look, the original Quicksilver look, the Scarlet Witch Wanda, Elizabeth Olsen's still hot. I mean, just all of that, and even the twins.
Wicked.
Timmy-
Wiccan and
Tommy and
Speed.
Billy.
yeah,
Tommy and Billy.
Tommy
Speedy Wiccan.
looking like he would in the comic,
Yeah.
and then Billy looking like his dad's, or not his dad's, his uncle's Quicksilver version too. I just the costumes themselves, the nice little callback to the comics. I thought that was a really genius inclusion here, especially on it being a '90s show. So
They're very cool callbacks,
mhm.
but what made them think of those specifically? That's
Wanda.
what's kind of like blowing my
Thank
mind.
you.
yeah,
So
Yes.
like of all the costumes, Vision, why does he look like that? Scarlet Witch, why does she have that outfit? You know what I'm saying? Like it's just very odd.
Go ahead, Mike.
It's
No,
the
I
90s.
because I love that explanation in the show because you said she says she's a Sokovian fortune teller, and when Vision comes out, I'm waiting for a split second of you're a Sokovian what? Then he's like a Mexican wrestler, obviously.
Lucha,
Me gusta mucho.
Lucha Libre.
I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. Yeah, and then what are the odds that her brother, because she's like, you don't have a costume. He's like, "Boop," and then he's Quicksilver from the comics. So
yeah.
I do love that part of it. That was hilarious.
I'm gonna love watching as this progresses. And like Jericho says, you have set up a couple of components to really blow the minds of all the audience members. There's way too many meta things happening at this moment to where, if you want to explain it all, you can just say, somebody who reads comics in our real world is having this really messed up dream where Wanda goes around trapping civilians in Westview and is dreaming up all this stuff. if you wanted to, and everyone would believe it because it's all set up for like something like that to happen. But we don't know. But there's so many meta things happening at this moment that it just you if you're gonna do it, you're gonna have to find like this really epic way of explaining it, and I can't wait to see what happens.
You know, I had a theory about kind of some of these things, especially with Wanda. What happened with
Dun, dun, dun.
Monica? You know,
Yeah.
and the way she's changing. You know, they said, "Oh, your DNA is changing on a molecular level," and they reference that. Maybe what Wanda is doing is actually going to be the introduction, as I had said, of mutants, because everybody in Westview, they're being changed on a molecular level. So maybe that somehow is going to be the introduction of mutants into to this universe.
I think did we talk about that last time? Because it's either you or it may have been almost in movie talk. When somebody brought that up, no, I don't know. When somebody brought that up, my only question was like, but do we want all of Westview to be like the only mutant powered people in the entire
Metahumans.
globe? Like,
Well, here's the thing.
Agnes and Herb and like,
She's only been affected at it because she went through it twice.
We're
Once going
thinking-
in, once going out. You know,
that's yeah.
and for all the people in that town,
Been called out.
it's possible they're just trapped there. They may not have actually gone through the energy field itself. They may have just been trapped there, so they may not actually be mutants themselves.
The beekeeper's gone through once.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's gone
once.
through once, and who
And
knows
now-
what happened to him? He might even be
Yeah,
dead.
I would say
We got more at the end of the episode. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's that's the thing. People have only gone in once, or she's the only one that's gone through it twice, and that's why it's
Right.
changed her so much. So that might potentially be why that's being altered. Is that she was altered going into this old time period and then coming back into the modern world, and that's what messed her up. Everyone else, I'm not sure. I mean, she might be the first mutant based on that. But obviously, this is the way they're going to give her abilities.
Right.
Photon,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So,
how do
you
we know she hasn't already lost her powers, as somebody had alluded to when she brought back Vision, and she's not a mutant herself?
You're talking about Scarlet
Wanda.
Witch?
Wanda?
I'm talking about Wanda. You know, because
Okay.
the way magic works, or the way her powers work, is in order to bring somebody back in the way she's reanimated Vision, the amount of energy that you have to expunge to do such a feat
Huge.
is humongous. You have to give something up in order for that to happen. Maybe her
Wow.
powers were dissipated, and the powers that she's using now are her mutant powers. Who knows? You know?
Yeah.
See, I
Um,
think there's a benefactor, if you will, involved.
Yeah.
And I know that's a big theory about who it may be, but I think some of her powers that she's not completely aware of or didn't know before are being either enhanced or kind of prodded on by
Yeah.
this
She got a power up.
person being, basically, which we'll kind of see, how that gets revealed or if that does.
Yeah. What about you,
Right.
Jericho? What are you thinking, man?
And there's so many theories out there. I didn't read the comics specifically, so I'm not. I know there's a bunch of source material that they're coming from. I feel that maybe maybe she has a mutant gene, and because I know what was it the Tesseract that gave her the powers?
It was
Or
the
that
Mind Stone.
activated-
Mind
or
Stone.
Mind Stone that gave her the powers or whatever activated them. So yeah, maybe like you were saying, Joe, like she has them, and now they're just being amplified. There's something
Yeah.
that she's drawing the energy from, drawing the power from to make it that much, or make her that much stronger. Or somebody's on the back end, manipulating her and showing her how to use her powers or something. I don't know. That's why I love this show. It's just so
many questions.
questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
There's
the
so
cool
many
thing, is that we never know what we're
diversions.
getting. We never know what we're going to get from one episode to the next. And the not knowing, I think, is what I love about the show, you love about the show. And I think JC enjoyed that as well. It's kind of, like I said, it harkens back to the first season of The Mandalorian, JC, where we don't know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
That's what makes the show exciting, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, and what's so great about it too is like I know I wasn't here for the first 5 episodes that we've talked about, but
What?
real quick little recap. The first 2 episodes were, it's sitcom. They're
Yeah.
basically
First 3.
sitcoms.
First 3,
The first 3 is basically sitcoms, and then they go into little references here and there, little things where you can tell like, oh, something's going on. After that, 4, 5, and 6, it really starts picking up, and things just start dropping, and now it's like you forget that it's even a show. Now it's like, okay, the first few minutes are going to be like referencing the show, and then the next 22 minutes are going to be talking about trying to figure out what's going on exactly. I love this show. It's amazing.
I think one of the things that we need to talk about is how Wanda knew that Vision was in trouble. Wow,
we're gonna get to that. Let's get to that in a minute.
Hold your horses, Joe.
I want to get to it
Joe.
now.
God,
No, I'm just
Joe.
playing.
God, Joe. There's so many things that I think are very important. One of the lines early on that her brother drops is, "You probably suppress a lot of trauma." He says that to her face.
Yeah.
And this whole thing we've been theorizing is just a lot of suppressed trauma that she's sort of seeing come out in a dreamlike state of hers, especially the commercials, which we're going to talk about one later on that's pretty messed up.
but very 90s of that commercial. We'll get
Yeah,
to
no, definitely 90s.
Vision gets out of trick-or-treating because we can already tell he is suspicious and he needs to start investigating what the hell's going on in Westview. Pietro has a tattoo. Did anybody notice that? Any of you four notice a tattoo?
Mom.
Oh, no. Oh, the mom tattoo. Yeah.
It was Mom. Good job, Mike.
Yeah.
Mom.
Nice.
M-O-M. If you remember last episode we talked about, I kept saying M-O-M could also stand for something else. Multiverse of
Madness. Yeah. Madness, right. Yeah.
This whole thing is going to tie together in a way that we just will not see coming.
I'm
and I
sticking with my
absolutely love it.
theory. This is the X-Men Quicksilver. I'm sticking with that.
I think so too.
I don't know, man.
I
don't think this is Quicksilver at all now, because
Right. I think I'm
he
kind of with
was
him.
kind of like Agnes, where he was like, how did he know that about Vision being dead, and how did he know about he has the MCU's Pietro's memories.
I think
right.
it's okay. I think it's the X-Men version, but he has some memories implanted in him. Whoever's doing this brought him from another multiverse. That
Okay,
X-Men
see,
multiverse,
I'll go with that.
and implanted that but he still retained his personality, his quirks, his quick thinking and stuff like that. Like, first of all, if I had an uncle like that getting me all that candy growing up, I mean, he was the cool uncle basically, all that candy on Halloween, great. But he still had the same personality of the X-Men Quicksilver.
Yeah.
But it's like his mind was they implanted some memories of the I'll call him the Kick-Ass Quicksilver, because the guy played Kick-Ass. Even the funny part is like in the first Kick-Ass movie, both of these actors were in the same movie together, like they're best friends. So, that's kind of I think that's kind of where I stand. It's him, but he's got some memories implanted in him. That sort of thing.
Okay, see, I want that. That's what I'm hoping for, because as soon as he started talking about like her accents and like talking about just everything during that whole little town square scene, I'm like, okay, then you're not Quicksilver. Then you're somebody pretending to be Quicksilver. You're kind of like Agnes, who's not an actual character in the show. But if they do something like that, then that's fine with me. Like, I'd rather him be the X-Men Quicksilver.
It's either exactly what JC's saying, or it's all misdirection, because they don't ever give you evidence that like Agnes is from this town. She's not on the wall when they're investigating people. Vision awakens her later on, and he's like, "You've lived here your whole life."
That messed me up too.
No response. I know. So it's either she's somebody completely different, or it's misdirection, and they just don't want to give you evidence that she's somebody from Westview.
Maybe she's not even from this universe, Ted.
Too many questions. What? Two people. What?
I said
what,
maybe she's not from the universe, from this universe.
That's all. That's a very solid, plausible possibility.
Yeah.
Mike, what did you say?
Well, no, he was referencing the car scene later, and I know we're kind of getting ahead in the episode, but
yeah,
I think it's misdirection, because why was she there to begin with? Like, he's heading to the edge, and she just happened to be there. So I think it's a misdirection. I also think, talking back to Quicksilver, I don't think it's the link to the MCU or to the X-Men, I should say, because that's what everybody wanted. And I think it was a little bit of a red herring, just to kind of, because after that previous episode 5, everyone's like, here's how they're introducing the X-Men. We just saw it. And I'm like, whoa, and I get it, but I'm like, let's see,
So
like
obvious,
you literally
right?
just see him and introduce him. I was like, well, let's see what happens in episode 6, and then this one. So I think a lot of these things are a little misdirection because they kind of know what the fans wanted and looking for. So I think there's still a lot of things that we didn't see coming within the next few episodes.
Yeah.
Let me skip through a couple of these next bullet points. One of the big plot lines, Jimmy, Darcy, and Maria are all removed from the base because of Hayward. Maybe it's a good thing you weren't here when your mother died because you clearly don't have the stomach for this. Hayward,
Okay.
you dick.
Yeesh.
Hang on.
All right,
Before you
hurry
say
up so we
anything.
can
Before you say anything. Let's see here. Wanda's suspicious of her brother. We talked about that a little bit, but he claims that she's responsible for the way he looks. That's very interesting. It also takes all the heat off of him, which again could be misdirection. We finally got somebody else other than Agnes that knows that this is all a skit, and that's Herb. Herb says, "Did I do it right? Do you want to change something?" He also knows that he's kind of going through the motions, and people are malfunctioning, and they're crying, they're in pain. We see that with the woman trying to hang things, but she's not able to. This is all before the commercial, which we'll get to in a moment.
Well, they're repeating the same motion the further out you are. So.
Which I think is all just a proximity issue, right?
Yeah.
Wanda is using so much power to not only create children for the first time, but have all these people play different parts that she's not able to control people kind of on the outside proximity of her sight, her powers, whatever.
Right.
So that's why we assume, if we're following the show, is why Agnes is like stuck in her car because she's so close to the edge that Wanda doesn't really care about any of these folks to have them move and do things. And then the whole Hayward bit. I've been talking about Hayward since he was introduced. This guy is going to be something. There's a big twist coming from Hayward. I'm not going to say he's going to be some superpowered villain, but I am going to say that there's going to be some big twist involving ulterior motives that he has. I think it has something to do with Vision. I think Hayward is trying to create more weapons. He was using Vision intentionally to try and do that. It didn't work. Maybe he's using Wanda to not only put Vision back together, but to hope to possibly create more weapons that'll be useful for Sword. All right.
I got a theory for you on that one, Ted. What if Sword is using Vision's, let's say, schematics, and when they tore them apart and they're trying to have their advancements in nanotech and robotics, and inadvertently they wind up making a Sentinel? That would be pretty badass, dude.
What if they accidentally brought back Ultron?
Yeah.
They're like, hey,
I don't know if they're that smart. That's a Tony Stark thing.
They could use this
in the world did that, Yeah. I mean, the Vision theory. Okay, first of all, the interesting thing about Vision is he has no idea what the Avengers are. He has
no memories from his death or before that.
It's possible that could be Vision's body, and if we're sticking with the multiverse theory, and I think Hayward's involved with that somehow, he could potentially be Mephisto. He could potentially be working for Mephisto, and they might have pulled a Mind Stone from another multiverse. Just throwing that theory out.
One of the things that I had said too was I think that could be the body, but the mind, the consciousness, could be a Vision from another universe. You know?
Right. Yeah. So he has no recollection of anything.
Yeah.
I mean, he's basically just reborn, rebooted, and memory wiped. Much how C-3PO has no memory of episodes 1 through 3 because they wiped the memory kind of thing. So,
or just people who died, because now this is the second person who says, I don't have memories after I died, from before I died.
Is everybody in that town dead then?
That's consistent. Huh?
Is everybody in that town dead then?
No, because they all have their own memories.
Once they snap out of it.
Yeah.
But Pietro and Vision consistently both say, I don't have memories from my past, I guess, before my death.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
that's at least consistent.
Well, didn't Pietro say I got shot in the street and then I woke
like
up and
a chump?
You were calling me?
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
shot like
Yeah.
a chump.
We might have some memory. I don't know how far back or before that.
And he's
But
That's
referencing
true,
random
that's true.
things from their childhood too, with Wanda.
Yeah, but they don't match up.
Wanda
True.
doesn't Wanda keep testing him, and
Yeah.
but he never answers, right?
He
Like,
never
he
answers,
doesn't
and he
give
calls her out
her.
on it
Because he
too.
calls
He
her out.
doesn't give her
He
the
was like,
answer
what
she's
was that?
looking
What was
for.
that kid who used to bully you? And he's like, you test him, yeah.
You know, the one that
Yeah.
used to steal your boots. You remember she kept saying that?
Yeah.
So either he's doing that because he doesn't know or doesn't remember, or he's doing that because he doesn't know because he's not Pietro.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you know, another thing that we need to circle back to is when you were talking about all the people on the fringes of
Yeah.
of the hex, and what really is going on. It's kind of like if you're doing a movie, you know, the main crew is gonna always focus on the center, you know, where all the action's happening, and this is
Right.
what Wanda's doing. She's
Yep.
she's putting forth all her efforts
Her
wherever
focus, yeah.
wherever that main focus is. It's with her and the kids, you know, and it's with Vision, you know, and they're all together. Most of the time we've seen all the action occurring when they're all together, and she's building that little bubble where you have all these people that are surrounding them, and they're all active and everybody's doing exactly what she wants. But the further away you get from the center, they're just nothing more than background extras. That's all
Yeah.
they are, you know. Then that's why you see them doing like that one lady. She was trying to put the ghost on the clothes hanger, and she just kept on moving her arm up and down, and a tear came out, and that guy kept putting the pumpkin
by
on
the
the
way,
ground
yeah.
and kneeling down, picking it up, standing up again, looking at it, doing the same thing again. It's because people don't pay attention to the extras, you know. And I think that's basically what Vision was like. What the heck? And he's like, "Ma'am," you know, and she wouldn't respond, and the kids are just frozen, and he's just noticing. It's like, this isn't normal. You like, something's up here, and it's because when the focus or the story is with Wanda, the kids, and Vision, they're always together. But in this sense, Vision went ahead and ventured off and was near the fringes, and it's like, what's up? Something weird is happening here that he just can't quite understand yet, you know?
And this is also the first time that the storyline is deviated from what Wanda wants, and yet it was allowed to happen.
Yeah,
which
because
is
she didn't
interesting.
want to argue with Vision. Vision's like, well, I'm going to do this. And she's like, no, you're not supposed to. And then she kind of caught herself. And she
Yeah.
doesn't want to have that argument. She doesn't want to be at odds with him where she's going to really push him. I guess what she's trying to do is to keep him happy in the illusion where he's not going to want to do exactly what he did in this episode, you know,
Yeah.
which is kind of deviate from the script, you know?
Let's get to the commercial.
It was very 90s
And-
claymation. I'm just going to
and
say
it was
that.
what I'm going to say is, I think we've all been consistent, or at least I know I have been consistent on what these commercials represent. And this is the first time when I'm going to actually admit that I don't think this actually fits into what I thought every other commercial represented. Every other commercial before this one represented
Infinity Stone.
Wanda suppressing some trauma.
Okay.
Stark bomb was the first one. The toaster oven. We had the Hydra
watch.
soak was Hydra. We had
watch.
the watch that was related to Strucker. Yeah, everything was related to
Lagos.
some trauma that she's
Yeah.
Lagos. More trauma. Her trying to suppress it and all that. This one's a strange one. I'm gonna admit it. This one's a very strange one. Is
I have a theory. but go ahead.
Wanda?
So
I'm gonna ask: is Wanda the child? Are the Westview civilians a child? Is the child not somebody we've ever met? Because I think the child could also be Strucker testing on more children than just the ones that we see, Wanda and Pietro.
Well, they
And
said that back in the
if-
movies, right?
Say it again.
They said back in like Age of Ultron or whatever that
They were the only ones that showed any sign of success.
survived, right?
So one of my thoughts is that this child represents other children that Strucker was experimenting on. The abilities never worked out, and they ended up dying from take your pick on whatever else. Jericho, start with you, man. Your thoughts on this wacky ass commercial?
Exactly that. It's a wacky ass commercial. But I agree with you, Tay. Like that's exactly my thought. I know a lot of people are saying that the kid represents Vision, and him
Ooh.
being away from magic being away from Wanda's magic then causes him to die. But I don't think that's the case because, again, these are all related to. I mean, it could be Wanda's, again, her memory or suppressing her pain and saying like this is what could happen to Vision. But I agree more with your theory that it's talking about all the other kids that she probably witnessed. She probably saw these kids and were in the same room as they were being experimented on or testing their powers out, or potential powers, and because they didn't make it, they ended up dying. And she probably witnessed tons of them getting killed. So I think that's what that is.
Don't ask me who the shark is, though. Mike, what about you, sir?
Baby shark.
I mean, I think it might be Wanda herself because it's the yogurt is yo magic, and it's kind of like she could not survive without tapping into the magic, right? Like everything would just kind of fall apart because they can't get into that magic. The kid can't open it or whatever, and so I mean, I hadn't heard the theory about the kids from like the previous, and I like that a little bit, but like you also said, it seems to be centered around Wanda. So the shark could be that benefactor, if you will, that whether it's Mephisto or Nightmare that I've heard rumors of, whatever it may be, the one that's trying to help her tap into that magic that she's, she has some, obviously, and she's powerful, but it seems like they're giving her something way beyond even what she was before, or she didn't know she was capable of. So
I do like it, and one of the things that Wanda says later on in this episode was that the last thing she remembered before unknowingly creating this hex is that she felt alone. What's a good way of representing a visual scene of someone being alone? Someone being on an island, a deserted island. JC, how about you, sir? Your thoughts on the crazy ass trailer?
Mike kind of had the idea, and I'm kind of going along with that too. My thought is that it represents her, just like Mike said, and the old magic. That's it. And for all the crap that she's gone through, she's created this thing for herself, and she's trying to enjoy this moment of happiness, a moment where she has a family, kids. That's why she's done the sitcom world, and she's trying to open. It's your magic, but it's. I mean, everyone has a dessert like that. You feel happy. She's trying to enjoy this moment of madness, but it's slowly killing her. The more she tries to get more of it, and that's basically what it is. She's slowly dying inside because she's trying to get. The world is passing her by, and she's dying because she's trying to enjoy this one moment. Back to my original, like one of the theories I brought about last time we talked about this is that each of these commercials have on one level or another it represented an Infinity Stone. This one obviously represent the Time Stone, just as things progress. So if you're going on theory that Infinity Stone is referenced here, this one would be obviously the Time Stone. So
wouldn't the watch also be the Time Stone though?
Would it?
That's a little more on the nose.
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
you got nine. You got 9 episodes. Are we gonna get 9 commercials? And how are you gonna?
I have no idea. These are theories, not my theories. These are ones that I've heard. But
I'm just wondering.
Yeah. So, but I mean,
just ask the question.
As far as the commercial itself, we had some wacky commercials in the 90s. I think I appreciated the fact that really represented a lot of these weird ones, especially on Nickelodeon. That took me back.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
It kind of, even though it wasn't claymation, it made me think of, was it like High C or Witches where they turned into liquid?
Capri Sun.
There you go, Capri Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think of a lot of things. I think of the Domino's. What the hell was his name?
Oh,
The Noid.
The Noid.
Noid,
There
yes.
you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was creepy. The California Raisins too.
Yep.
Had their own like TV show at some
And the Cool
time, I
Spot
think.
from 7 Up. Remember that?
Yeah.
And
Joe,
this was
your
all
thoughts
aimed at
on the
kids, just so y'all, if y'all remember, like these are commercials aimed at kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, my theory
Joe,
is
your thoughts on the commercial?
My thoughts on the commercial is I just think that the shark actually represents the benefactor, the person who's actually pulling the strings, and is kind of using Wanda as the horse chasing the carrot. Hey, you can have all these things if you just tap into the magic, and and what it's kind of showing you is her demise because she's trying to tap into that. It's something that she can't obtain, not while she's still living. It's killing her because she wants to get it so bad. You know, she wants to tap into that magic or whatever this is that's in front of her. But I think it was really forthcoming because what the cartoon or that commercial is representing is kind of what's happening within the world of WandaVision. It's just all an illusion. You're going to die trying to obtain what you really want, but you're never going to get it. And I think that's exactly what that little commercial was showing you. You're always going to want what you can never have. You're never going to be able to obtain it because it's just all one big illusion, you know? So Wanda's the kid on the beach dying alone because she's trying to get what she can't have, you know? Same thing that's happening right now, dude. So that's what I think it represents.
I love it. It's good stuff, man. Yo Magic, the snack for survivors.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to speed through these last bullet points, and then we'll go ahead and have our discussion on what we think is going on and what's going to happen next. We'd already talked about Pietro knows how he died, but doesn't understand why he's back. He said that he heard Wanda's voice, and that's what he kind of ran towards. He says, I know you needed me. That's why I'm here. We found out the twins have abilities, which is awesome. Darcy is on to Hayward. He's figured out a way to track Vision. He hasn't told anybody else around him, including those people that still support him, which means he does have ulterior motives.
And he can
Vision...
see through the hex.
Say what?
And he can see through the hex.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When Darcy says he can see through the hex, what he's doing is tracking Vision.
Yeah.
We don't know how, and we don't know why. But I think that's the only thing it means. Huh? What?
What's up, Mike?
The file that she finds about it. Do you remember what it's called? Cataract.
Cataract.
What's a cataract? It blurs your vision.
Yeah. Blurs your vision.
Ooh.
You're right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing that happens, Vision awakens Agnes. We talked about it a little bit. Is she faking? Vision doesn't remember what an Avenger is. And Agnes says Wanda won't even let us think about it. Not the first time that we've heard somebody mention a female telling us what to think or what not to do. The energy inside is changing Monica on a cellular level every time she passes through. Darcy calls that out. And the very last thing that happens, Vision tries to leave, but the upgraded perimeter that Wanda has affected, I believe what is happening is it's pulling him back in, and it's kind of tearing him apart. But Wanda decides she's going to expand the perimeter after one of her sons tell her that dad is dying. And Darcy, who's handcuffed to a vehicle, also gets consumed by the hex, as well as everybody at the base except for Hayward, Jimmy, and Monica.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I talked about weeks ago was something that Darcy said when we first met her. She discovers that the hex has this perimeter, and Hayward says to her, the first thing he says to her is it stable? And she says, yeah, now, which is foreshadowing for me, telling me that this is eventually going to go unstable, and it's going to create some sort of like global or at least an event on a national level. So this may be that. I think it's also going to get worse. That's what I think. All right, let's go around. Joe, let's start with you, sir. Your thoughts on the ending of this episode and what to expect going forward.
No, I think it's just setting things up for the ripple effect. I don't think it's going to have effects on a global level. What it's going to have is going to have effects on a multiverse level. Because like I said, she's pulling this energy from somewhere. You know, and if you're pulling energy from the multiverse, when that thing goes boom, it's going to send ripple effects throughout multiple multiverses. The multiverse of madness. That's where this is setting up. And if I remember correctly, the ending of the House of M, at the end of everything, Wanda realizes what she's done. And what she does is she wipes her own memory. And then she just goes to a little village and decides to live amongst the humans as a human being. She has no recollection of the life she was living in the Hex, as far as her kids, you know, Vision, any of that. She wipes her memory clean, and she just goes on living as a normal person. She just goes and forgets everything. She doesn't remember anything, doesn't have powers, any of that kind of stuff. Maybe that's actually what she's going to do at the end of this whole series, but she's already created those ripple effects for the multiverse of madness, so who knows? Maybe that's the way they'll end it. Maybe they are looking for her because she decides to go dark and just disappears. They don't know where she's at or what multiverse she decided to go and disappear into. Maybe they're looking for her. So who knows? You could do either one of two things, but to me, it's just going to have the ripple effects on the multiverse, not on the actual world itself,
I like it. JC, how about you, sir?
Well, I mean, if it affects the multiverse, it would affect our world too, obviously, right? You would think.
Yeah. But I'm saying it's
Like
just
our
not
real world?
just not affecting our world. It's affecting the multiverse,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my thing is what was interesting about the Hex pulling Vision back in. It makes me wonder if this is even the same Vision from this world. Did they pull a
Yeah.
Vision from another multiverse, or is there something, maybe that Mind Stone, like I talked about earlier, they pulled that from another multiverse? And is this Hex really kind of like a dome right now that's like a protective dome for anything coming from that multiverse? So if you try and step out of it, you're going to deteriorate because you can't live outside your own
Outside of it.
multiverse for so long.
Mhm.
It's going to pull him back in. And the idea being that this is just like the startup of it until everything is settled, and then they can break the dome and everything can just go, crazy. The fact that she's expanded the Hex now tells me she's not going to have as much control over people around her. So there's going to be a little bit looser the further out you are now, right? And it's bringing in a bit more from this multiverse as well. I mean, it's going to become unstable. If she's in fact controlling the Hex, that's a bigger surface area to try and control, and she's not going to be able to protect it as much, I would think.
She won't be able to keep it together.
She won't be able to keep it together, and
It'll go unstable.
just to see how they do a circus thing, because that was the first prominent thing they did when they took over the base, and it's a whole circus. Like, is Vision going to become a trapeze artist? Like, what's going on? Are they doing something like that? So,
Well, he's Vision from the 90s in the Hex, so he should remain the same, whereas everybody outside's from like 2020
unless
or
they go to
20,
well, depends what decade we're in.
2023,
Yeah.
24.
Depends what
Yeah.
decade we're in when we move to the next episode, because they switch decades. We'll
You
see
actually
what-
have a comment right now from a viewer watching on YouTube, Christian DeMoro.
nice.
He put, the Hex may be keeping Vision alive. And that's exactly what you
Yeah.
just said. Yeah.
whether
That's
it's the same Vision or
Very.
part of him from another multiverse, that this thing is keeping him alive. Yeah.
I know that's a very popular theory. A lot of people say that the Hex keeps Vision alive, where I'm thinking the only reason why this is happening to him is because she sort of upgraded the perimeter of the Hex, and now anything that tries to pass through it is going to get kind of pulled back or affected in a way. But I'm not going to argue against people that think that Vision only survives inside the Hex. And how will the boys how will they
Because the boys only know this
what will
world.
happen to them if they try?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't
It's-
know
yeah.
anything outside of it.
It's
Yeah.
a warp reality. Once the bubble bursts, everything's going to go back to its original form.
We
Yeah.
think.
Let's hope
Yeah.
so. Mike, how about you, man?
Yeah. So real quick, two little things from the bullet points before we get to the how we think it's going to end. The car scene. Sorry. With Agnes, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't what the trailer showed, where it was just like because you're dead. She like cackles. Like I don't know if you remember when the trailers were coming out. That was kind of
There's
a big scene.
There's a jump
then you
cut right
realize-
there.
Yeah, you realize it was edited a certain way.
Yeah.
And then also in this next episode, if there's not a diner with the Two Broke Girls homage, now that Darcy is in the,
That's what I was thinking.
if she's not a sassy waitress, I'm a little disappointed.
It's coming.
Right, I hope so. But as far as like kind of where it goes, I'm kind of along the similar lines of like Joe and JC in that it's kind of coming to a critical mass and it's going to affect multiverse. But what I think is going to happen so that our reality, if you will, don't really know as much about it, I do think Doctor Strange is going to come in some way.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to prevent it from affecting this reality, this multiverse, if you will, but it's going to wind up affecting a bunch of other ones, and that's what's going to lead into Multiverse of Madness, where she may have to help him go deal with the ramifications of what he prevented from happening to our reality. So I do think there's a benefactor. I think Doctor Strange is going to come in because, his thing is to identify otherworldly threats, which is why in his original movie and stuff, he noticed Loki and stuff like that. So I think he eventually comes into this to kind of save the day and help her, but I think it's like, it protects our reality, but affects the multiverse, and that's kind of where we get introduced to it, having to go in and deal with all the stuff she causes from this.
Since Doctor Strange is basically a magician himself, do you think he can go in the hex and be unaltered by anything that happens? Like, he can basically transport in. Yeah. He won't be affected by it.
He has to create a barrier around himself in order to break through that one barrier, and then he's going to have to shield himself from being affected by that particular form of magic or whatever she's doing, that warp reality in there. But again, it's all based on magic. In order to wield it, it has to have a cause and an effect. It has to affect you in some way. You got to give something up in order to gain something.
Kind of like a wish stone.
Oh man, don't bring up that damn wish stone in that Wonder Woman 84, bro. that is some freak. That was a stinker so far of the year. That was a stinker of the year so far.
Yeah.
I want to rescind my wish from ever seeing that movie.
There you go. Jericho, how about you, man?
So I'm actually on the same page as well, I don't know. Because I had one theory going on, and then we all have different things. And
we just confused Jericho. We just broke.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that's the basic. It's the basic principle of magic. In order to wield it, you got to give something up.
For this verse.
So,
just give us your original.
Yeah.
So my original thought is kind of like what Mike said. That somebody's going to have to come in, and my thought this whole time has been that Doctor Strange is going to have to come in to basically save the day. He's going to have to come in, and obviously everything going on with Wanda, she's unstable, and she's just going to lose it, and everything's just going to unravel. And to avoid having this huge ramification, and to kind of keep everything, like on the back end, like Doctor Strange is going to come in, he's going to basically save the day, and he's going to do what he needs to do to make sure it didn't affect a lot of people, or enough to where there wasn't as much ramifications as we thought. Maybe that's why it wasn't referenced in Homecoming, like it was kind of on the hush hush, or only a certain amount of people were affected by it. But I honestly think it was him. I also thought because of the multiverse, but also the mutant gene. So my thing is, when people are going in and out of the dome, the hex, that they have the mutant gene already in them, and this is like activating it, right? So that's how we're getting our mutants. And maybe if this thing does go crazy and goes globally, that's how we get our mutants, instead of it being a multiverse. But at the same time, it could also be a multiverse. So the show is like really messing with my mind, but I love it. And my thing is Doctor Strange. That's my main focus. He's going to be the one to come in and save the day.
Yeah. There was another master of the multiverse, and that was freaking Dr. Seuss, man. Dr. Seuss. If you read those books, everything happens in a microverse. Everything. It's in the tip of a snowflake and all that. Just because it's a multiverse doesn't always have to mean like a wormhole. It could always mean the microverse, as we see in Ant-Man, where you go into that quantum realm. Yeah. So, it could be either big or small. It don't matter. I'm just saying we're going to be in for a wild ride.
Oh, yeah.
I know that there's been some clips shown from the next episode. I don't want to talk about those in case anybody doesn't want to hear.
It was
about
just
them.
a clip that came out on Good Morning America. It wasn't really like a spoiler. It was just a quick clip that lasted a couple seconds.
I believe you.
I didn't see a clip. I saw a trailer. Did y'all see where?
There was a clip, a scene, or a part of a scene that was released. On Good Morning America that we won't
early
talk
this
about.
morning.
Okay. See, I'm avoiding those because the show is short enough as it is
Yeah.
I don't want to, lose out on anything. So
Yeah.
I'm avoiding those.
Okay.
I texted real quick. I texted you before episode 4 when they were finally going to the real world, right? We had the first 3 episodes of sitcoms, and then they released a trailer like a couple days before where you see Jimmy and Monica meeting. And in the big picture, it's not a big deal. But I was like, I've waited all this time, like the episodes in a day. Like, why? Like, let me see. Like, let me just see it. Like, I don't want any previews for the rest of this. I just want to see what happens and experience it. Like,
it's already the #1 streaming show out. Like, what reason do you have other than like Good Morning America is probably throwing Disney some money or something to
its own
to
Disney
kind of like get
owns
people more
Good
engaged
Morning
with
America.
Yeah, the only thing I really got out of it was just the kind of TV show sitcom they're going to be on next.
Yeah.
And so that's really all I could see out of it. And it's
Girl Meets World.
no.
Yeah. Well, Disney owns ABC and ESPN.
Can I say what
and all
I'm
that.
going to say? I'm thinking it's Modern Family.
Oh
heard
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
No, totally.
So yeah.
Modern, yeah.
I'm
Modern
not gonna say
Family,
what
I
the
think
clip
there's a couple
was,
of
but
other ones that.
Yeah.
What was that, Joe?
I said I'm not gonna say anything about that clip, but I think y'all will be pleasantly surprised by what happens in the next episode.
Okay.
I can't wait. If you haven't already talked about where you think the show is going to end up, let's go ahead and do that now. I'll start out by saying I'm going to stick with my theory that Hayward is not a big bad. I don't think he's numero uno, but I do think he's sort of a pawn in this game where he's really driving this subplot that is yet to be revealed. He's always just seemed like he was trying to get people into places and kind of get them into schemes to do things. Maria Rambeau, I think, is completely in the dark about all this. I'm not even sure she's working officially for Sword. I think he told her, I need you to go here. And she's not really officially doing anything for Sword at the moment. I think she's just doing it because Hayward needs her there. For why, I don't know. I said weeks ago, this show's not going to have a happy ending. And I'm firmly believing that. I think when you put a hero that's affected so many innocent lives this long, that there's no way to redeem them in any sort of way. At least in the rules of writing a TV series, you can't redeem somebody who's put that many people in either harm's way or in a torturous way. And so I do think that there's going to be sort of a bittersweet or just a very sad ending to all this. But I'm not going to claim to know what's going to happen. I just think that this season or this show, I don't know if they're going to have a season 2, this show is not going to end on a happy note. I think that's all I got. I think there's probably still one more big reveal of a person or a villain that's coming, and I'm not going to claim that to know it's Mephisto or Nightmare or Joe. What's that little guy who's always
Mojo
doing things? Mojo. It could be Mojo. It could be a number of things, right? It's very peculiar. It's very strange. I love all of it, and I'm not gonna pretend that I'm gonna call out somebody and pretend like I'm right. I love that I'm right about the first half of the show. Sword is been
Show off.
a part of this all the time. The commercials were trauma. The Beekeeper was Sword. Everybody's been suppressed. Get out. I told Ryan this when I was in Movie Talk. He didn't believe me. Take that, Ryan.
He'll never admit you were right.
The elderly gentleman will never admit he's right.
I'm just kidding. So I'm not gonna claim to know what's gonna happen next, but it's gonna end bad, I think. And Hayward is bad. He's trouble. I know that.
He's
for a
sus.
fact. There you go, Jericho. I'm gonna start with you next. If there's anything you have left to say, that way we don't all screw up your theories. Go.
You mean just overall the next 3 episodes, or just in the next episode?
If you have any theories left, go ahead and call those out. Yeah.
So I do think Hayward is somebody. I don't want him to be the pawn. I want him to be the big bad, only because we've seen Loki already working for Thanos. We've seen that happen already. So I'd rather it be where the big bad already comes in and tries to do things his own or himself. And also because Hayward just seems like he's just agitated already with everything going on, and he just seems like he's really just trying to push it so that he can get to the end game already. Like he's wanting to get there to whatever his end game is. I don't want to keep saying end game, but
we just came from there.
but so I'm thinking he is somebody big, and that he's just really trying hard. And now with this last episode, it looks like he's about to lose. So who knows what's going to happen? He's going to like step it up even more. So I don't think he's a pawn. I think he's the main guy. I think Agnes is the pawn. What else? And yeah, and I already mentioned about Doctor Strange. I don't know. I love this show. I hate how much it makes me think. But
come on.
And also, I do want to say, I hope we only get the one season, because, like you were saying, Ted, however it ends, we can't have any more seasons to where just to kind of wait before the other movies come out. Like, this is it, and then Doctor Strange comes out, and they move on.
One and done. Yeah,
exactly. But it's a big event, not just one small thing that happened, side story. It's something that affected everything, and it kind of changes the rest of the Marvel phases from here on out. I'm done.
Drop the mic.
No.
Speaking of Mike, you're next.
Ooh.
Nice.
That was a nice segue. Yeah, I actually think Hayward is just going to wind up being, the human military bad guy who's just trying to, especially after, because he did make the comment, you weren't here for those 5 years. You don't understand what we had to do to just get things going in any sort of normalcy. So I think he's just kind of going to drastic measures to find ways to protect humankind. Like, it's kind of been a theme in previous Marvel movies where, Nick Fury was just trying to get SHIELD to build weapons with the Tesseract to prevent them from, aliens. Even Tony Stark was trying to build Ultron with the thought of trying to save the Earth from future alien attacks. And I think he's in a similar mindset of he's just so drastic that they took apart Vision, they saw what he's capable of, and so he's just trying to get something to protect humanity because half the population disappeared. So I think that's kind of his role in that. I do think, it seems to be a popular thing that maybe the benefactor that I keep saying is going to be Mephisto, but I don't think he's actually going to be revealed anything more than what Thanos got revealed at the end of Avengers. I don't know if they're going to, with 3 episodes left of the show, introduce that big of a character, which may play a bigger role in Multiverse of Madness or, future movies. So I think Agnes will kind of wind up being the pawn that kind of takes a lot more of the attention, kind of like the Loki to Thanos is, to Mephisto being Thanos. But then, like I said, I think Doctor Strange will have to step in and kind of save this reality. And that kind of leads into what they have to do in Multiverse of Madness, which may involve Mephisto and a lot more characters, that have been rumored. So, and I really hope that Jimmy Woo and Darcy continue to be in other MCU projects. And I guess I have to ask this because I thought after Far From Home, when you saw Nick Fury in space with the Skrulls building the space station, that was a part of SWORD, but now it doesn't seem like it. So I kind of want to see if there's a connection to Nick Fury and SWORD and kind of where that all comes out. So I don't think it'll be done in this show, but I think there's some things involved here that
it'll come out
down the road in movies have to be fleshed out.
That's a good point. I definitely think it's still a part of SWORD because he's already stepped down from the director of SHIELD, and I feel like he's accomplished everything he thought he could with SHIELD. Once you have an entire villainous organization running things under your watch, you probably feel like defeated, and you don't really need this anymore, you know. So he's probably going to do his own thing. JC, you're up, man.
Hey. Strange. Everyone's talking Strange, and I got to point out an interesting snippet from an interview Paul Bettany did with Esquire. He said people seem to think it's Doctor Strange. Truth is, there's one character that has not been revealed, and it's very exciting. It's an actor I've longed to work with all my life. We mentioned, of course, I think it was Elizabeth Olsen said something about a Luke Skywalker Mandalorian type of cameo.
Again,
I know
it wasn't her words, right?
Yeah.
But she said like, yeah, we got something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with my guns. It's Wolverine. I really hope it is, and I really want that to be true. And everyone says he's done playing the characters. You know what? He hasn't been paid Disney money yet. There's something about the money when the checks come with the mouse logo on it. Okay.
Okay.
You know, but
real quick, I would
Go ahead.
love that.
Mm-hmm.
But what does he do? What is he?
Yes, that's what I was gonna say.
He breaks this damn dome. I mean, if there's anything Wolverine can do, is he can get close to Scarlet Witch and it won't affect him. He did it to Phoenix.
Are they gonna pick him up in a bar and he's gonna say "F you" and then
You know,
Does
I mean,
he get
I
the
think-
one F bomb?
Okay, there's one thing. If you remember Days of Future Past, he makes reference to the fact that Quicksilver is a very good friend of his.
Yeah.
And if Quicksilver was pulled from another multiverse, Wolverine's the one that's going to come in and bust him out if he's got to break this whatever it is that's going on himself. You know, Quicksilver is a really good friend of his. He's going to know him as Peter. You know, he goes back and meets him as a kid, Days of Future Past. That's where we get introduced to him. So that's where I think this comes into play. And if you're going to sit there and say, well, he's dead already, hey, Logan is even beyond far into the future than this. And obviously with Disney owning things, they can retcon and do what they want with it, change timelines, whatever. We know that. As far as Hayward, I think he's at this point right now. I don't know if he's a supervillain. I don't think it's likely because no supervillain would fuck up as much as this guy has and left the trail as much as he has, you know. And I really think he's just an overambitious guy who got lucky because everyone that would have been in his way to become director died during the blip or wasn't there when Monica's mother passed away. And now he's, you know, is trying to stay in power. He's trying to do something big to save his career because he thinks everyone's going to take it from him. That's why he's so quick to get rid of Monica. That's why he's so quick to get rid of anybody. That's where I think this thing is going to be. And he's going to come to find out the fact that he's not in the Hex, he's going to need Wu and Monica's help to get back in and fix this. So he's going to have to abdicate to those people to fix what he did wrong.
I like that.
So, yeah, that's really what it's all about. By the way, it was awesome to see Wu finally kick some ass. Not be comic relief for once. That was pretty damn cool.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sticking with it. I replied to that tweet at Squint84 on Twitter. I said I'm still sticking with my Wolverine prediction, and that's just blown up on Twitter for me anyway. Everyone's like, "Whoa, hold on, wait! I would love that."
Hold on.
Everyone,
Who's this guy?
I know. Everyone's like, "Whoa, I would love that." I would shit my pants, and that would break the internet and all this shit. Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, but it would be awesome." He's the Luke Skywalker of the X-Men films, if you will.
Got you.
That's
Yeah, I agree with
the one
that.
that makes the most sense.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm not sure how likely I feel it is, but if it did happen, I would pop really big. So
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm. So
Good stuff. Before we
Sticking
get to
with it.
Joe, Christian on YouTube says, "Isn't Sword the space base part of Shield? They're actually two separate organizations."
They share
And-
information though.
Probably, but I don't even think.
Well, they
Shield...
revealed that Sword has like a terrestrial division, and that's kind of what this is. You know,
Mm.
that's kind of what they say at the beginning or the fourth episode with Monica. That you're
Yeah.
assigned to terrestrial work, kind of thing. So
yeah, but she's all Sword. Sword is like not an affiliate of Shield at all, at least in the MCU. And I'm not even sure Shield is like kind of a thing anymore.
Yeah.
I think once, not Civil War, once Winter Soldier happened, it feels like Shield's like, oh, let's not try
because
this
of the
again.
Hydra, you
because,
mean? Because of Hydra?
yeah,
infiltrate?
Yeah.
because you know
Mhm.
we're the
And
bad
it also
guys.
depends if Agents of Shield is considered fully part of the MCU or not. Because if it is, they do rebuild the organization, but I don't know how much that's considered part of canon MCU. So multiverse, though, right? So
Mhm.
I think so. I mean,
Hashtag multiverse.
Christian also says Deadpool maybe is the big reveal.
Oh,
if
so
that's the
yeah.
whole
Wolverine,
F-bomb in the whole series,
Deadpool,
Wolverine and Deadpool team up. Yes, that'd be epic.
epic.
it's in the middle of the road trip that was supposed to be Deadpool 3 with
There you
Fox. and they just come in the middle of that, that'd be great.
Awesome. Joe, blow our minds, man.
I just think it's going to be something maybe a little bit more simpler than that. It could either be the big reveal, could be the grandfather, the big daddy of the X-Men universe, and that would be Professor X.
I would love that.
You know, or it could be his best friend, his buddy, the father of Wanda and Pietro, and that's Magneto. If Magneto enters the fray, you just drop the mic right there, and everybody's going to be like, "Holy
But which
shit!"
Magneto?
Exactly.
My bad.
I think
you
it
said
would actually.
These
grandfather, and I
timelines are
thought
so
you were-
confusing.
I would think it would be the Fox version of Magneto, which would be Ian
There's two of
McKellen.
them.
You know,
There's
the
two. That's
first,
the point. Which
Yeah.
timeline
the
are we
first
going?
one
Yeah.
from the first iteration
Ian
of the
McKellen.
movie.
Ian.
Yes,
Yeah.
Ian
Yeah.
McKellen. I think that would be Magneto, the one that everybody is familiar
So Gandalf
with.
Magneto.
Yes,
Got it.
There
Gandalf
you go.
Magneto.
All right.
I think he's the one that would be the one that would enter. You know, at the
That's
end.
great, Magneto.
That would be cool, though. I mean, that would be a way to
Yeah.
end the show. You know, you're kind of leaving that door open now to have mutants, you know, come in, and that would mean Wolverine and everybody else. You know, so
That's how
that
you bring them in. This
that's
is how you
awesome.
introduce mutants into this world. You know,
Yep.
you haven't said it yet. You know, you've had metahumans, but
yeah.
this is how you bring in the mutant gene and how that goes crazy.
Yeah. And you know, to put Deadpool into this, I would love it as a fan, but it really wouldn't make sense in the complexion of the
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
storyline itself.
No, I'm saying it from now on. Every MCU movie from now on has to have a Deadpool cameo where he drop the F-bomb, get the PG-13 rating, and move on. He's the one guy that says it in every MCU movie.
I'm
Because
down.
he's the only character that makes sense. He'll break the fourth wall. It's like, hey, audience, F you, and, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
Go.
but you
So-
know, I think too maybe we'll see maybe a reference or something to Kang the Conqueror, because like I told you, the multiverse and all this energy that she's expunging is coming from somewhere, and you can bet that Kang knows something about that. You know, because we already know that in Ant-Man, when they went and saved the woman Michelle Pfeiffer's playing, she was wearing rags. And if you're in that little microverse or whatever, you know, the quantum realm, you got to go somewhere to get those rags. It just doesn't appear out of thin air. So she's seen some things, you know. And then when we're over there in Thor, you already know that one world that they were on where the Devil's Anus was at is part of Kang the Conqueror's world. You know, it's part of
just
his
like saying that.
territory.
Can you call
The
that out
Devil's
every
Anus,
episode, man?
the big one.
There's
you
your
know,
mic drop.
There you
Freaking
go.
hilarious, dude. But I'm just
Hashtag
saying.
Devil's Anus.
Hashtag Devil's Anus, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
And
you
on
know,
that-
the MCU has been setting this up for quite some time, and now I think it's at that point to where this is going to be the catalyst to kind of tie everything together and introduce all these different things to the fans, which is a good thing for us because it's going to bring something new and exciting, and we're all going to be very excited. And at the end of the day, Disney is going to just use this as a cash grab to make even more money, you know, and just really show their dominance. Because they're dominant already, but they're making tons of money. This is just going to put it over the
know,
top for them.
I get that, but Disney's doing a great job with Disney Plus.
No, they
I like
are.
all this, like they revealed. I still theorize that they haven't said anything about X-Men because they want to surprise us, much
Yeah.
in the way they did with Boba Fett and Mandalorian. But as far as the company that's handling movie releases the best right now, I still think it's HBO Max and Warner Brothers. We're getting Snyder's Justice League. We're getting Godzilla vs. Kong.
But we don't
we're
know if they're going to
getting-
be any good or
Mortal-
not. That's the thing.
Well,
Mortal
the point is
Kombat.
the fact that they're getting movies out there, like they're making it available HBO Max
Yeah.
plus the theater. Disney just wants strictly theater. We don't even know when the hell Black Widow's coming out. You know that everything keeps getting
They
pushed
could
back. but-
change things.
Or
they
they make
could
you pay
change
an
things.
additional $30 for a
yeah,
movie.
when you can wait 3 months and see it for free, or
The,
Yeah.
the
bootleg
Mulan
it a couple
experiment
hours
did
before
not
it comes
work,
out, so.
JC. We can all agree on that.
No, the Trolls World Tour happened to work great. That
Yeah.
that one was smart.
Yeah.
They were ahead of the curve there.
And that was like one of the first ones too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they made
Yeah, literally.
shingles money off just at home buys, and
Yeah.
you know that's kind of the way it's going to go right now. Movie theaters are going to have to adapt one way or another.
Yeah,
But,
the
you
the
know.
wave of the future is streaming. I kind of seen that coming for quite some time. I've been
Mhm.
telling my family, I've been telling the kids, even not only with movies, but with also the video games. I tell them, you all might be enjoying the last console to be made right now, you know, because I think the wave of the
PS5,
future.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I told him it's gonna all be online, so
Hey,
it's moving that way.
Stay on topic. Stay on
It's
topic.
moving
stay on
that way.
topic.
It's moving
We're
that
on
way.
topic.
Getting into game
Kinda.
streaming.
I'm
okay,
just
It's a
saying.
geek. It's a geek
Let's talk
podcast.
wrestling
Geek
now.
podcast. Everything's
Let's
gonna
do
be
wrestling.
online.
The next WandaVision episode is almost out.
Saturday,
I gotta get off this
Jericho.
thing.
Saturday.
It's
Yeah.
11:50 right now. It's not out yet. Doesn't happen till 2:02.
Yeah, Jericho,
In
talk
the
wrestling
morning.
with us on Saturday, man.
Yeah. We do
There
it
you go.
Saturday at noon. We're gonna do the WrestleCast live on Saturday at noon. So
I was just talking-
okay, I'll get to that in my outro. Just hurry the hell up.
I want to get on.
Real
I
quick.
want to be on that show, JC. You got to get me on your wrestling
quick.
show, man.
Real quick, Chris Lawrence, appreciate all your comments. I asked him to drop his theory on before he had to drop off, and he sure did. He says, I would like to believe that this is all about House of M, and she has lost all control. I think that Vision is slowly gaining his memories back. That's interesting. I also think that going in and out of the Hex alters DNA. That's been confirmed, and is very good entrance for mutants. I am also intrigued by the Fantastic Four making an entry with what she says about having a friend that may be
This is
a
Joey Quotes
friend,
thing.
a friend that's an
I'm
aerospace
sorry.
engineer.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
And I am tired. Oh, so he says, I'm going to bed. Have a great night. Thanks for tonight's entertainment. Thank you, Chris. Awesome
Chris.
comments, man.
Yeah,
and that's
thanks.
an epic theory. Absolutely love it. He also says Magneto is her dad. Hopefully that stays true. Another great entry for mutants. I also said that the one thing I'm focusing on is Darcy says this thing is stable, but it's going to go unstable eventually. That was foreshadowing. It's going to go unstable. Once it does, I think if you want to, I said this weeks ago, if you want to introduce mutants, once this hex goes like critical, and it'll have an explosion, some sort of ripple effect that goes around the globe, and it will affect people differently. Jericho said earlier that people have the mutant gene, you just need to activate it. Well, if you have this what they called cosmic radiation, ancient cosmic radiation that goes around the globe, once this thing goes super critical, it can actually activate that mutant gene in certain folks, and that's a great way to introduce mutants. The only thing you do not gain is the mutants that should already be established, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, Deadpool, all those guys. How do you establish them if you're trying to create new mutants? I don't have a theory for that, but we'll probably talk about it pretty soon. Episode 7 is going to drop in just a few hours. I'm going to stay up. Joe's going to watch it with me. Jericho's going to watch it with me. Mike and JC, we're going to rag on you guys if you don't stay up with us.
I gotta work tomorrow, dude. All right.
Yeah, so do I. This has been
You
an
haven't
awesome
worked all week. You
episode.
kissed my whatever. So
Nobody has in this whole town. Nobody in this state has worked all week. Well, there's a lot of people who have, but millions haven't.
yeah.
This has been a great episode. We talked Mortal Kombat, Snyder Cut, and WandaVision finally. Plenty more to talk about. Next week, I'm going to skip all the rapid fire stuff. Check out our Facebook page. There's been a lot of other stories that I've been talking about, a lot of things that are really interesting. So be sure to check on that. We're going to do this again Monday night, and every Monday night, God willing, the weather gets better, and we can keep doing this when we schedule them to.
Yeah. I'm always going to be
that'll do
crossing
it.
my fingers for Jericho to come back on the show with us, man. I love having Jericho on.
Mhm.
And of course, you,
We
Mike.
got a lot.
Well, thank
We
you.
got a lot to talk about because Jericho knows that Superman and Lois is dropping pretty soon. He's excited for that.
Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So we may
I'm lost on my days, man.
we may do a post reaction video with Jericho there so that he can talk all about the Man of Steel. JC's going to be there as well. We're
JC's
very
going to be
excited
wearing
about
the
that.
cape.
Which, by the way, I have a bone to pick with Entertainment Weekly. They put out a poll asking for who were the best Superman and Lois on-screen versions, and for whatever
Don't say Dean
reason,
Cain.
no, they included him. They included
Yeah.
Routh. They included a Reeve. They included Cavill. How do you exclude Tom Welling and Erica Durance?
Wow.
How? Next time you put a poll, get somebody that knows their shit and knows Superman
Exactly.
before you do something.
Maybe
all
they
right?
just
They just went
Googled
on
it.
IMDb real quick or
yeah.
Wikipedia.
So
Facts.
Yeah.
thoughts like Routh and Boswell, really? Come on,
What-
So no,
Really?
that just annoyed me. Come on,
that
now.
was like the worst one.
How do you not have Welling and Durance? That's the best on
I mean, in theory, probably the longest tenured Superman and
Yeah.
Lois, no?
They had Dean Cain in
Exactly.
there, and
They had Dean Cain and Terry
Hatcher.
Hatcher. They had Reeve and Margot Kidder. They had Cavill and Amy Adams.
Amy Adams.
And then they had Routh and Boswell. I was like, what? She was the worst Lois. I'm sorry. It was, say what you want.
she was.
Terrible
That whole
script,
movie was.
terrible
I
script.
mean,
terrible.
she didn't have. I mean, script wise or not, she just didn't have. She didn't have the chop. She didn't have the attitude. You know?
Return to Superman was shit. You know that, Ted.
And that'll do it for this episode of the Countdown to the Geekcast. My name is Teddy. With me on this episode, the man, Mr. Legend. You know him as JC.
Thanks for watching and listening, and for this marathon of a show. I'm glad we're all back. Tune into the WrestleCast this Saturday live. We didn't get to record, obviously, with everything going on. We will go live at noon Central Time on YouTube, Countdown to the Geeks YouTube, talking about Impact No Surrender, NXT Vengeance Day, and previewing the Elimination Chamber, the last pay-per-view on the WWE Network in the United States until it moves to the Peacock Network. So come check us out live on Saturday, because this is in a way a test run for our WrestleMania show that we want to do live as well in a couple months from now. So come check us out. This is going to be a lot of fun. Mike will be there. Tommy should definitely be there. I'm not sure about Tina Jericho. You can join if you want. It's been a while since you've been on the show, so come and join us and make some predictions, because the chamber looks very, very interesting this Sunday. So
We also have the man behind the magic, Joe Garcia.
Yeah, I'm just happy that we were able to do an episode together. You know, it's been a rough week for everyone, and thank you to our guests. Thank you to you, Mike. It's always a pleasure having you on. You make the show that much more enjoyable. And the same thing with Jericho. When we get you on, Jericho, the show is just better. The air smells better. Everything's just better with Jericho here. So it's great having you, man. Enjoyed it.
Awesome.
We got the one and only Jericho, who makes his tremendous return.
Yeah, man. It's good to be back. I've said this like several episodes ago. Hopefully, I get to keep coming back on. Just everything, busy with the baby. So.
even this for 3/4 of an episode. That's fine.
Exactly, dude. Hey, it doesn't even matter,
I was
Jericho.
folding
It's
laundry,
popcorn.
and Joe's texting me. I'm like, you know what? I can do laundry later. Let me jump on real quick.
Damn right.
Damn
Screw
right.
This
laundry.
does for
You can wait.
laundry?
Yeah,
No,
That's the
amongst
only thing I
other
took away from that
things-
story.
Amongst other things.
must be a lot of laundry.
That's fine. Yeah, that's
He's
fine.
airing his dirty
A
laundry.
week's worth.
Ah.
That's got to smell rank right now when you think about it. Go ahead.
And last but definitely not least, making his tremendous return on loan from the Countdown City WrestleCast, which you can find on YouTube each and every week. It's Mike.
Thanks, guys. This has been a crazy week, obviously, we've been talking about. And to all those people that were out there helping, out there serving, out there, doing things to help people, thanks beyond all. Like I always say at the end of WrestleCast, be good to each other. And there were tons of you that were doing that this past week. So shout out to y'all. Y'all are the people that we need to keep having more of, because this week, man, there's something else.
So I got some happy news. Kit Kat announced they're making vegan Kit Kat this year.
Oh, my
man.
God.
I'm in heaven right now.
No, I thought you said good news.
That's good for me. You just
I might get down on those Kit
Oreos
Kats,
and
man.
Kit Kats and you smash.
gluten-free Oreos, vegan Kit Kat. I'm gonna have fun food-wise.
Yeah,
this year.
people that have
Everyone's looking
gluten.
up JC.
Yeah, it's looking up.
Yeah. No, people that have gluten issues like me and JC and my daughter, this is heaven. This is our happy place.
This is, yeah.
Everything's coming up, Millhouse.
I got one last thing to say, and that is, well, I've been sent to spread the message. Ooh, God bless Texas. Have a good night, folks. We'll see you next week.
Awesome.
Hope you've all got WAP, water and power.
Oh man,
Laters.
he'll be here all.